Starliner is going to launch within 24 hours, hopefully. Starship will launch within a week, hopefully. And New Glen's might launch sometime this year, hopefully. I'm Jack Byer? Roll the intro.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Say again, SPD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Look at this! Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flame Trench. I'm EJ, and I'm hosting tonight's stream. I don't know why they allowed that, but hey, I'm not complaining, and neither should you. Tonight, I got two very special guests with me. We have Sawyer in here with me, and Alex too. Alex,
What?
What are you up to?
Are we live already? Oh, sorry.
No. This is just a practice test.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah. So that was
What's going
that
on,
was
buddy?
nice.
How are you tonight?
Well, I was here, on next spaceflight, looking up all the launches that we have. We have a lot of launches coming up, but I guess we're gonna be talking about other more important launches. There's probably a couple of them coming up that I guess are, nerve tingling.
We've been known to watch launches here from time to time, yeah?
Yeah. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, good to hear. And then always joining me is the ever popular pun extraordinaire, Mr. Sawyer himself. Sawyer, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Sorry, I felt like I should be reading something, so I was reading the ingredients on the pretzels on my desk. I'm doing pretty good. We got.
You guys stealing my joke?
Well, Alex had Next Spaceflight up. You read the book. I'm like, I got to read something, so ingredients it is. But yeah, no, like you said, a lot of exciting launches, especially Starlink tonight, because that's the one that we all care about, right?
Yes,
I'm
Starlink.
here for him. I'm here for this, for Starlink. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. We should keep watching those. I'm quite fond of those.
Keep watching the skies. I mean, the skies.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of different stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about Starliner today. We're going to talk about Starship. I mean, and I don't think we should talk about Starlink, but we'll probably end up doing that anyway. So, Sawyer, do you we want to get into the discussion here? What's on the menu for tonight initially? What's the appetizer?
Apart from pretzels.
I mean, apart from pretzels. Yeah, no,
apart from
pretzels are good.
pretzels, cheese puffs. God, I need to clean my desk. Our hors d'oeuvre is a crew mission with a capsule named Calypso, with a slight small helium leak that is still going to be okay anyway as it launches. Yes, our first topic is Starliner. It is back out at Space Launch Complex 41 ahead of the crew flight test mission Take 2. It is all set for tomorrow, Saturday, June 1st, 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time. They held a Delta flight readiness review on Wednesday, which is basically they went over all the stuff that they know has gone wrong. There was the issue that initially caused the screw-up back on the 6th of May, which was a valve that kept opening and closing and went past its lifespan. That's been replaced. That's been checked. Then there was the service module leak, which they looked into. And yes, it is still going to be leaking, but not anything significant enough that it is a concern for the mission itself. And then they even took a look because it turns out that the parachute manufacturer for Blue Origin And New Shepard is the same one that basically makes all the parachutes, including SpaceX, including the capsule that is set to fly. And yeah, that one, you may recall, one of the parachutes didn't open on its most recent flight, although it landed safely. It had to do with one of the cutters, so they are aware of that and say that it is not an issue for this flight. In terms of weather, it is currently 90% go. The only potential concern would be winds, might be a little on the higher side. All the downrange weather looks fine in the event of an abort, and we have no idea what they're having for breakfast.
Oh, I mean, hopefully it's good, right?
Hopefully. The question was asked in a briefing today, but yeah. There was no known answer.
So, sorry, you said that they talked about the parachutes, right? With a New Shepard flight?
Right. Yeah.
Huh.
The
So-
NS-26, because it turns out they're all the same manufacturer of the parachutes themselves. So there was a little bit of, cross-companying of like, hey, what's going on here? Is this something we need to worry about? And yeah, it turns out there's sort of like a wrap that chokes around the bottom of the parachute before it deploys. And then there's a cutter that will cut it, and that is what starts the reefing process, which is eventually how they open. And apparently there's an issue with the cutter on that particular one. It is not something that they are concerned about for this flight. And just like with all the other vehicles, it can also land with, a parachute not fully inflated still safely.
Yeah, the main
That's
concern.
cool. Yeah,
The
go
main
ahead.
concern was because airborne systems or something like that. It's the name of the company. Those are the ones that make the parachutes for all four spacecraft. So they make the parachutes for New Shepard, Starliner, Dragon, and Orion. So they make all of the parachutes because there's like one single company making all of them. Talk about a monopoly there. Yeah, you got merch pie. Oh, this is double merch pie because there's like
Help.
here
Help.
and also
Help.
up there.
Just duck and cover.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like there's only one company making all of the parachutes. So when one of these capsules has a problem with one of the parachutes, it's like, oh, maybe we should check the other parachutes and see what's going on. And yeah, one thing that I usually tend to talk recently about is that parachutes are really complicated to model. It's not really something that it's easy to model, and so you really need to treat them really, really nicely. If if you know what I'm being here, where if you have just a little bit of an issue somewhere, you really need to look and make sure that there's no commonalities. I believe in the case of a Starliner, what they did is that they looked through all the data on the reefing cutters for all of the system, the tests that they have done in the past for Starliner parachutes. And they found out that, on all of these, I think it's like 160 or something tests that they did of those cutters, it was all pretty much good. There was no, any issue with that. So it must have been something relative to whatever set of cutters Blue Origin uses on New Shepard. They're still looking at it though, so we won't know until they actually go through the entire
Yeah,
thing.
they weren't sure, Alex, if I'm remembering right from the presser this morning. There was a lot of information conveyed, but the particular part that caused the chute to not open was not made by Airborne. The
reefer.
chutes are made by Airborne, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
the reefing
Right.
the reefing line. Yeah, okay, cool. But
They
it's
asked
cool to
about
show
the
that there's
contractor for that, but apparently they didn't have the name in hand for
It's
that.
a different contract. Yeah, it's cool to see, that some commonality between all this stuff. And I know what people are going to ask. Well, if they're all using the same chute, wasn't the whole point redundant dissimilar architecture? Well, yeah, but I mean, you're still going to have there is some commonality between these vehicles, right? The docking port, for instance, Starliner and Dragon both dock to the same port, which is the International Docking System Standard, or NDS, NASA docking system. It could be either one. So there is some commonality across the board here, but it's cool to see all the industry kind of commingling and working together. That's cool.
It's a good thing you mentioned that, because that was actually something that they brought up, which I thought was really interesting in the briefing today too. the fact that on their last sort of docking, their automated docking, SpaceX noted that one of the reflectors that's used in the assistance of the automated docking is kind of degraded a little bit from what it normally is. And so they told NASA, hey, fair warning, this might be an issue. And Boeing might actually want to know about this. And so they shared the info with Boeing too of, hey, this reflector that's used as part of this sort of international docking adapter that all of our craft are using might have an issue. So they're sharing a lot more data now, and that's the beauty of the Commercial Crew program is, yeah, it's two different companies. Yeah, they're kind of competitors, but the same ultimate goal is to get people safely to the space station. So it's kind of cool to see them actually share information.
Yep. That type of, collaboration and sharing that type of information to make the industry better is beneficial to everybody. Rising tide raises all ships, right?
Yep.
Well,
So
yeah, except for the ones that sank, but yes.
But yeah, the best way to actually not have any sort of like the best way to have the similar redundancy, that was the word that was going to be using for landing a spacecraft, is to not use parachutes at all. So there you have Dream Chaser, for example, landing on a runway, or in the future maybe Starship, which is propulsive landing. I will argue that those two are probably much easier to model than parachutes. Parachutes seem very complicated from a modeling perspective. It's easy to say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put some piece of fabric and pop it out of my capsule and try to keep it there, and that'll slow me down. But then it's like, if you have more than one, you have to take into account all the interactions. Like with Dragon, for example, because it has four. In some certain circumstances, you may inflate all of the four of them, and depending on what is your rates and whatever, maybe one of them will inflate and then deflate, and then you'll think, oh, my parachute failed, but it's no. It's just because of the situation. You're going down just as if you were having those four fully open. But there are certain occasions where, because of the whole problem of modeling and everything, it just doesn't need the other fourth parachute, and so like it deflates itself. It's not that it's wrong or anything. Sometimes it just eventually inflates again, maybe when it's lower down in the atmosphere. But that has happened many times, and it's like, well, it seems like that's just another way of the whole thing to do its work. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, yeah, I think something that's kind of looked over a lot by spaceflight fans is the process of deploying these parachutes. That's a complicated amount of things happening very quickly. It's good to get this information, like to model this information, as Alex said, like do as much testing as you possibly can, and then when you're done, do more. That's I'm not going to say it's single fault redundant, right? Because these crafts have multiple parachutes, like what Alex was saying. Dragon has four. It only needs three, but it has four just in case. Just in case one of the the unfurling and the reefing process doesn't go correctly. Process, nice. That's your phrase of the day. Yeah, it is actually pretty dang complicated to come up with the models, the analytical models for parachute deployment. And I think it's something that's very overlooked. And I think if anybody has questions regarding Starliner or anything like this, Starliner, nice. Sawyer, do we have something in the queue?
Press a star one.
Oh gosh, no.
Press star one and we won't answer your questions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother story. By the way, one of the major differences to point out between the different parachutes, Blue Origin has blue in it.
Oh.
NASA's doesn't have blue in it, I don't think. I think it's just, is it red or orange?
Well,
it's orange.
It's orange. Actually, you bring this up, Sawyer. Every parachute, including the four different parachutes, like let's take the four parachutes on Dragon or the three that are on Starliner. Every parachute, if you guys look, every parachute has a different design on it. Like one will have a checkerboard, the other one will have like a dartboard, like shape on it, like painted. Like the colors of the parachutes are, they're different colors, but they're also different designs. And that's for when you're imaging a parachute deployment. If one goes wrong, you know which design is attached to which parachute mortar. So you can see if the number 1, 2, or 3 chute went out. It's actually super interesting. Not something that a lot of people touch on. The parachutes all have different designs. So if one goes wrong, you know exactly which one it was.
Right. There's actually that New Glenn mission that we were talking about that had the parachute
New
that
Shepard.
didn't fully or New Shepard, sorry.
Yep.
New Glenn. Ooh.
Jumping a
later.
little far ahead there.
Yeah.
Within the year.
Yeah.
Ish, hopefully.
Well,
yeah.
Hopefully 120 days away. It's supposed to be September 29th, I believe.
2 weeks.
Well, there's the propulsive landing of their booster.
Yeah. And I will
Really
argue
so
that's
cool.
probably a lot easier to model from a physics and engineering perspective. You can probably replicate it a lot better than parachutes.
Hey, it landed. That was fast.
All right.
The magic
Say
of
what
YouTube.
you want about Blue. That thing is really
That's
cool. It's pretty impressive what that thing
capsule.
does.
There it is. Yeah, that's it under some of the chutes. It's got a little rotation to it there.
Yep. That would be a roll rate on the telemetry.
There it
That
is.
Slight rotation. Yep.
You can see the parachutes. First off, again, it's blue. But yeah, as EJ pointed out, you can kind of notice that there's slightly different patterns on the top of each of them.
Yep. Wait.
Yeah.
You're telling me it's not orange?
It's partly orange.
It's orange and blue. Let's put it that way.
The
But
top
yeah,
is orange.
You can see there the parachutes. In order to not stress it, because when you pull it out, you're in the airflow and everything. When you pull out the whole thing with all of the parachutes and everything, you really want to not stress all of that system, and so there are stages in how you deploy the parachute. And there, by the way, you see a lot of dust and everything. That's because of the engine. There's like well, actually more than one, but it's like multiple thrusters that soften the load as it lands on the ground. Just like Soyuz. Soyuz also has a similar thing, and I think the Shenzhou spacecraft also has the same.
Yeah, 'cause it's basically a copy of Soyuz.
That's another topic. but yeah, so you have the parachute just comes in and it's like super, like constrained on the bottom and trying to get, some of the air into it. And once there's enough load, then there's like this automatic reefer cutter, so to speak, which cut away the sort of line that keeps the parachute closed on the bottom. And so they open and it lets the whole thing free. That's sort of like the second stage where all of the incoming air tries to inflate the parachute, and then there's like these fully inflated mode. And even when it is fully inflated, you can still see the parachutes like still hang on, because like doing this sort of wobbling kind of thing where it's still taking some air in and some air out and things like that, and it's still trying to get into an equilibrium point, but it's sort of like wiggling. And so you can see it on some of these parachute landings, especially when it's like super close up. You can see that.
Yeah. Sawyer's controlling the queue tonight, guys, because I'm not as cool as Jack is. So, Sawyer, do we have any questions on that side of things? I see a lot of gift subs over there, a lot of members getting awarded, and a couple of tips in there too. So, thanks for the support, guys. But Sawyer, what do we got?
Yeah, which you want? Let me recognize a couple of those gifters here really quick. Elizabeth, before the stream started, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. What did I miss? Gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Oh, you missed not too much. Pretty early on. And Chris P, 1341, gifting 550 Red Team memberships. Holy smokes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Let's see here. We'll take some questions. We've got Mr. Dollar talking about what is the flight trajectory for this launch. And I think it's worth noting, again, this is a ISS mission, so that will be launching towards the northeast, but it's said to land, when it's all done, and White Sands, New Mexico on land. It lands on sort of these airbags in addition to the parachutes that fly with it as well. And this, I believe they said the earliest date that would be coming back would be the 8th, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
But they said they are going to run the vehicle through its paces, and if that means keeping it on onboard station a little longer to do so, they're more than happy to keep it in space longer.
Yeah, it is coming back on Monday, June 10th.
10th, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
10-day
flexibility in the return.
And there are
depending
two
on...
different landing opportunities, apparently.
Mhm.
One, I don't remember exactly when, but the second one is at White Sands. Because they have multiple locations, right? This is sort of the benefit of the US, because you guys have a lot of different desert areas. And so there's like different locations where you can land. And one of them is at White Sands. That's the second opportunity of the day. The first one, I think it's during nighttime, and that will be somewhere else, which I really don't remember right now, to be fair.
Well, here's the timeline for the launch itself. So if you are anywhere along the viewing area where you might be able to see it, here's kind of what to expect as it reaches Mach 1. And then you have the 2 solid rocket boosters that will jettison away. Meanwhile, that main booster will have their engine shut down. The RD-180 is there, and then the Centaur 3 main engine start with the 2 upper stage engines. Get that aeroshell that separates away. And then MECO 1 for the Centaur 3. And then about 15 minutes into flight is when Starliner will be on its way towards the ISS with one final orbital insertion burn there.
With the OMAC thrusters.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
really focusing on, because one of the things of the helium, you guys explained it last week, because I watch you guys on my flight. I have proof of that, by the way. But yeah, I one of the things that they really tried to emphasize a lot was like we can launch this thing with a leak. It's not that it is not a huge deal, but it is not something that can really stop us. Like, it's not something that is a showstopper. The whole deal with taking 2.5 weeks to get to this point was more about understanding that was the case, right? That it is indeed something that they can go forward with. And there's like, usually when you have an issue, there's always like 3 layers of, and there's some glitching here, but anyways, there's like 3 layers that you have to go through. One of them, the first one obviously is like, why did this happen? Why did this issue happen? The second one being, okay, I have an issue. What do I do? What are my options, right? You say, for example, for a Starliner, you either roll back and try to fix the issue with the helium valve, which, once they went into all the stuff, they figured out, well, in order to fix the issue straight away, we will have to destack the whole Starliner, make it back to the C3PO, I think it's called the facility.
C3PF.
Or C3PF, whatever. It's because of the Star Wars
The R2D2 maybe.
Anyway, so yeah, they will have to roll it back. They also have to deservice the service module, essentially removing all of the hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide and all the helium, and essentially just safing it completely so that they can go into that area because it's right next to other fuel lines. So it was that option, which will have led to many delays, or was like, well, the other option is, can we live with it? And they figured out that yes, they can actually live with it. The third layer is, okay, we can live with it on a nominal situation. What if we have an unnominal situation? And then they look through all the different, unnominal situations and whatnot, and they figured out that they needed to make changes to, the decision making of the spacecraft and all that. That is more or less what you do on any occasion when you have an issue. You go through all those 3 layers where you figure out the issue, look at your options, and then once you choose an option, you're like, what else can happen here, right? What else could be a problem for my system? And so I understand that, but there's obviously, the usual thing of like, you figured this out because there was a scrub on Atlas. Otherwise, you will have figured this out in orbit. And they kept saying today on the presser that, no, we will have, solved this and everything. And it's like, would you? It took you 2.5 weeks to really come to a conclusion, to really come to a decision. If you had crew in orbit with this leak, would you really have taken that time? Would you have been able to really take that time? Or would you have taken a more safer path and maybe not just even go to the ISS in the first place and just land them on the first opportunity and return them back so that you keep their safety? And so they, you know, it's this whole thing where it's like, yeah, now that you have discovered it, you say that you could have done the solution in orbit and whatnot, but it's like you should have been in that position, right? Like it's not easy, and I don't think it could have been the same thing if this had been found in orbit. And so I think that Centaur issue was actually beneficial for them because that allowed them to be able to look into this while they were still in the ground, not putting those astronauts at risk, and being able to really understand what was going on. Again, it is not something that will have hampered and or have been any damage to the crew or anything. They understood eventually after 2.5 weeks that they can live with it. But again, they took 2.5 weeks. If this had happened right after launch, while the crew is on on their way to the ISS, I don't think they will have been able to really figure that out that quickly. And probably the most safe decision at that point will have been to return them back without even docking to the ISS, which frankly will have been quite a disaster for Boeing, if I'm being honest.
Well, okay, so yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You obviously want to find your problems when you're down here, right? You got everybody's seen First Man. You got to fail down here so you don't fail up there. And now, with that being said, NASA said they were confident that if this problem did happen on orbit, that it would be manageable. Now, the thing to understand here is that what took so long with Scrub, it wasn't necessarily figuring out and understanding that there's a helium leak. They figured that one out within a couple of days. The real thing that took the time is to figure out the contingencies needed in case that thruster fails. Now, what we're talking about here is a helium actuated hypergolic valve. I swear that was English. I swear it was English, okay? I swear. All right, so you have on Starliner with particularly its orbital maneuvering and control thrusters. Those are the thrusters that are used for on-orbit changes, so changing orbital parameters like boosting up to the ISS, or in this particular case, it's also used for deorbit and landing. Basically, NASA went through and established, I think they called it a Delta review team, to be able to figure out, in case this thruster does fail completely, or the helium leak just gets worse than what was documented. That's the important part. What was documented and understood from the initial pushback of the launch, whether they'll be able to get the astronauts back down. Now, NASA said that they are confident that this helium leak is something that they can live with. Like Alex was saying, it's something that they can live with. It's something that it's not that big of a deal. It's not leaking that much helium. And because helium is your actuator for your valves and also your ullage for the hypergolic bladder tanks that are used to pressurize the system, you always have a high margin there, and it's in double redundancy with 2 tanks and 2 distribution manifolds for the pneumatic system. I swear that was English too. I swear. Chat, don't look at me like that. That was English as well, okay? Long story short, there's a lot of redundancy built in to take into account that there might be a helium. Now, I know what people are going to say. People are going to say, why are they okay with stuff leaking? Well, all right, spoiler alert, guys. Every spacecraft leaks helium. It's like a bilge on a ship. Helium's going to leak. It's just a question of where. Steve Stitch in the press conference from last week said the shuttle had this problem. Starliner has this problem. Dragon has this problem, or has had this problem in the past. And now, keep in mind, so I know the next question is, why don't they fix this leak? Why don't they fix it? They're cool with it just leaking everywhere? Well, yeah. Remember, this is a crew test flight. This is a flight that is supposed to mimic the ideal process from Starliner sitting in its hangar, in pieces, all the way to recovery out at White Sands. It's a campaign for a reason. It's not just launch and not just coming back down. That is a part of it. That's the most important part, but it's not all of it. Now, like I said, I was talking a little bit earlier about this on the Twitch stream. I stream on Twitch for anybody that cares. Yes, I'm shamelessly plugging myself. Don't look at me like that. That's what you got to do as a content creator, okay? All right. So you have It's the entire processing flow. You want to mimic the whole thing from Starliner at, in pieces all the way to the landing, right? Now, which one of these? You got two options. You can replace this thing by going backwards in your processing flow, taking the whole thing apart, hopefully fixing the valve. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you damage another one. Putting the thing back together, putting it out on the pad and sending it. Or you could just live with the leak that you understand and is well within the margin of error for your helium tank quantity. The safer solution here is to send it. And that's something that you'll very, very rarely see in the aerospace industry, but that has a lot to do with risk management and how NASA goes about doing risk management from past things. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, past things.
Yeah. So in this case, it makes more sense to not destroy the entire vehicle and reinstall all the systems when something else could go wrong, when you understand that this isn't as big a deal.
Dude, I got people in the Twitch chat saying, I'm here because he plugged his Twitch stream. Oh my God. Thank you.
Well, you do have Out of This World who did congratulate you on hosting the show from a big EJ fan. So.
Oh, yeah, that was a pretty good. I saw that too. That was £2. £2 sterling. Thanks,
£1.99, sir.
Oh, well, this is completely insulting. How dare you?
Can you believe I went to the UK? I haven't really seen pounds.
I mean, I put on a bunch of pounds, but my wallet has not.
That might have been something that I've also took from the UK, a few pounds, but not of these.
Wait a minute. I'm hosting the stream. No puns, Sawyer. Wait a minute.
No,
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, who's in charge of the panel? Who's in charge of the panel?
No puns? What? A flame trench with no puns?
I'm going to officially rename it to the Punnel then, okay?
Oh, God. Please, no.
Could be worse.
Oh, dear. Okay. Are we moving on? Any more questions about Starliner? Anybody?
There's actually a couple, yes.
Oh, hit me with those laser beams. Let's go.
Yeah, there are a few more that I definitely want to hit here. Let's see. Hang Time Central saying, "Forget the astronauts. What are you having for breakfast?" Don't know yet. I'll probably have a bagel on the way because you know me and bagels here.
My glasses blurry. EJ, you need to be in focus. Hang on.
Oh yeah, EJ, what?
Stop it! Stop! What are you doing to me, camera? Boop. Sorry, chat. I didn't mean to boop you.
He's out of focus. Look at that.
Dude, what?
We need focus time. We need focus.
It's time to stop, camera. It's time to stop.
Continue.
See, it says focus time even on the banner. Look.
Yeah. What the heck is this?
Here's an interesting question, though.
No.
For those who don't know, they had to move the Crew 8 capsule to a different docking port. Joe Pipple wants to know, if docking is the same, why does Dragon need to move for a different port in preparation for Starliner arrival? Alex, do you want to try to take this one?
Yeah, that is right now because the software that they have on the Starliner right now can only dock to the front docking port. This was the same for Dragon. For Demo 2, they only dock to the front docking port, so they cannot go to the Zenith until they are actually on the operational missions. Essentially, the whole deal with that is that it is easier to approach the forward port. It is also safer for the ISS operations. Once you've flown a few times up to the International Space Station, then you are allowed to go to the Zenith port, which for Dragon, it happened on Crew 1 and Crew 2, and a few other missions also docked to there or either relocated at some point. Also, cargo missions have also docked to the Zenith port, cargo Dragon missions. So there's obviously that sort of constraint from NASA of, hey, let's not go crazy on this first attempt to dock to the International Space Station with crew on board. Let's go with a safer route, which is the front docking port. So that's why Dragon had to relocate to leave that front docking port empty for Starliner to go ahead and dock to it.
By the way, it's official. Cameras hate us today, apparently.
Yeah, I just tried to ignore it. It's not happening.
Between the focus and the flicker.
If I don't see it, it's not illegal.
You hate me, chat.
I think you officially just created an LSR GIF there.
Yes.
No.
Now it's available to do the the gifts, because last week he was at the meetup with me, so he was not able to do that.
Yeah. F-13 Media saying, is there a blanket over the Starliner capsule? Because, yeah, we've talked about the parachutes and all that stuff, but the thermal system, that is thermal blanket on the outside of it. In fact, you could see sometimes the scorch mark, the one very distinctive scorch mark on Calypso, since that one flew the original orbital flight test, which was not supposed to have a number, but is now known as OFT-1, after it kind of, didn't make it to the space station because someone doesn't know how to tell time.
Well, the blanket is there, for the cold of a space. Starliner is just cold, so it needs a blankie.
Well,
and then
if the shuttle blankets are, the Nomex blanket, those are the blankets. The tiles are the pillows, right?
they're not the most
Starliner has some
comfortable
tiles.
pillows, but
Oh, this is the part where you flex and say you have a shuttle thermal tile pillow, Sawyer?
no, I just have actual shuttle thermal tile.
Oh, okay, there it is. All right.
Flex.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. That's fair.
And then let's see. One more that I do want to hit here with Starliner. 20-minute event saying, can Starliner be mated onto Vulcan? And we actually interviewed one of the people with the commercial crew program and integration down at the Cape. And if you watch the broadcast tomorrow, you'll be able to likely see part of that interview. The interesting answer to that is probably. The ultimate goal will likely be for Boeing to then transition over to Vulcan because there are no more Atlas V's. All the Atlases have been bought and assigned, and there's none left. So there are 6 Starship flights that will fly on Atlas. Beyond that,
Starship?
it doesn't. Yeah, beyond that, Starliner doesn't really have a launch vehicle. So
Yeah.
it would be kind of funny to see a capsule mated on top of Starship, but
And here's the
I don't hate it.
but here's the thing. If that's all that a Starliner is contracted for and there's no other flights, why will it need Vulcan for?
Well, it might get another contract, question mark?
I mean, I think it's a fair assessment.
That's the big question, right? Is it going to get another contract?
I think it's a fair... I don't know if it's going to get another contract from NASA, even though there's stipulations in commercial resupply too for them to extend it out, like what they did for Dragon. SpaceX got an extension on CRS-2 I think it was an extension on CRS-2. Anyway, I don't think it's unfair to think that might happen, but also I think it's important to understand that Boeing has clearly, because they're willing to hedge a lot of their own money to get Starliner working. I mean, the OFT-2 test, Boeing paid for that out of pocket to the tune of like 420 million.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the meme number. All right. They paid out of pocket for that mission. I think it's pretty clear that they're heavily invested in this. And the only way that really for that to really make sense is that they're anticipating a commercial low Earth orbit market with destinations that aren't NASA. Even though they could extend the CRS-2 contract, I mean, it really depends on the lifespan of the ISS at this point, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some commercial low Earth orbit destinations that might not be the ISS in the future. Hint, hint.
See, my only worry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to say I had no idea who in the Axiom you're talking about. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, Alex, go for it.
Yeah, my only worry about that is that, Axiom seems to like Dragon, right? We also have Vast with their Haven station. Mm-hmm. They also seem to like Dragon. There's Orbital Reef at one point had renders with a Starliner on it.
Mm-hmm.
And with Boeing collaboration.
Yeah, well, you're saying there's a chance.
Of a few months ago, I stopped seeing those renders with a Starliner on it. And it's been a while since I've seen Boeing talking about Orbital Reef, like their collaboration with Blue Origin on Orbital Reef. And then there's Starlab which is taking none other than the Indian crew capsule as their crew spacecraft, which is quite interesting. But hey, the more the merrier, right? Or sorry, Jack is not here, so the more the better.
More
But
rockets,
yeah,
more better.
the thing is like the only like maybe orbital reef is not an exciting future for Starliner, if I may say. And by the way, at least three of these
Savage.
four, I've seen renders of at least three of these four stations with Dream Chaser on it. So that's probably the big winner. Because I've seen with the Star Lab, with Orbital Reef, and with Axiom Space Station, I've seen those renders from like official renders. So they really, like the whole concept of Dream Chaser.
And it's worth noting that the cargo variant, Tenacity, the first one, is at the Kennedy Space Center now,
Yeah.
ahead of
Yeah,
its
baby.
hopeful flight this year.
Yep. Not only is Tenacity there, but it's the Shooting Star service module, not trunk, but not a payload adapter thing that's there as well. That
Couldn't
thing
describe it
that's
better.
on the back. Yeah, the polyagonal conic thing. Shooting stars are actually super cool for what it's worth. Like, just in case anybody wondering, those things can free fly. Supposedly, that's what Arianespace has said, that the service module / mini space station can like separate and just free fly, which is actually that's super rad. I think that's.
It's also very on point because then when it re-enters, it'll actually look like a shooting star. So
Yeah, especially because then the other one will actually land back at the launch and landing facility, Kennedy Space Center.
Sorry, you didn't
Yep.
name that thing, did you? Shooting star.
No comment.
It's funny though,
chat. Oh no!
It's funny
no.
though because Sierra Space has already toyed with the idea of actually making it reusable. So, like putting like an inflatable heat shield on one end and let it re-enter with an inflatable heat shield. That will be cool. If you can reuse both Dream Chaser and Shooting Star, that will be amazing. But anyways, this is
But for
Starliner
now,
talk.
that's basically a way for them to have a whole bunch more up mass to bring stuff up, and then use the actual the space plane itself for down mass, which would be nice to have another spacecraft that can actually bring things back from the ISS, not just to it. Which right now, the only cargo vehicle that can do that is Cargo Dragon.
Sawyer, I have a sec for you. We're talking about bringing things back from the ISS, but I've heard Starliner needs to launch something up to the ISS on this mission.
I am glad you brought that up. And let me just tell everyone
Because
watching,
I think we haven't talked about that.
You're in for a treat. I have a story here.
That was a really bad pun.
Oh, and if you don't know why it's a pun, I'm about to tell you why. So, they had to make a change to the cargo manifest on this particular mission. They had to add an additional 150-pound item to Starliner that will be going up to the International Space Station. They actually had to remove these crew packing vessels, as they call them. Basically, they're suitcases with shirts and clothes and personalized shampoo items, basically, for crew members in place of something to fix the urine processing system. For those who don't know, most of the water on board the ISS is recycled. That includes sweat as well as urine. It gets processed through a machine and converted into potable drinking water. A part that they thought was going to last at least until the next Cygnus resupply launch broke down. And so they have had to use their other urine collection vessels, including tanks and bags. Yeah, it's as gross as it sounds. And they're starting to run out. Plus, they pointed out, again, they're about to have an additional 2 people on the station for about a week plus that will be increasing the load on the system and on their storage. So,
oh no.
They literally had to get rid of some crew items and are adding it onto this so that the station doesn't fill up with pee.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
So you-
I was making this up.
So you're
Oh.
looking at like I'm looking at actual pictures so we can show it here for Kevin because poor guy has asked us on the back channel. Unfortunately, they haven't really released any pictures of this, and so I'm trying to find them, but unfortunately they don't. There's like pictures of the toilet system and everything, but not of these containers and everything. I guess it's for the better, right? That we don't have pictures of that, but
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't need pictures of that.
Well, I mean,
You could say
we've seen
say they'll pee in
the
a bag and we'll be good to go.
we've seen things of their urine processing system, so it's not, it's not unheard of. They've been using it on station for a while. Every now and
Yeah, it's
then,
kinda
parts
old.
break down, and yeah, they're not just astronauts. They're astronauts. They're repairmen. They're electricians. They're plumbers.
Yep.
So,
Oh my God.
and again, it has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the toilets breaking down. It's just what to do after the toilet is then used with the liquid waste.
I just saw a pun. I'm not. I cannot resist saying this, but man, Starliner must have a leak, but those astronauts shouldn't have one because, my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
I was making that joke earlier of two leak
No.
story about
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I'm glad you mentioned that, Alex. So, and yes, it
Yeah,
is
that
worth
was-
pointing out that this is just the urine processing system. That's the one that is recycled. So we're just talking problem number one here.
So you said there's right now they're sending up or they have bags up there to address this issue.
And tanks.
Right? Oh yeah. You guys want to hear a fun fact?
Oh
The
boy.
Apollo command service module and the LEM did not have toilets.
Nope.
Not
Oh
not
well,
within the
yeah.
mass.
But
they
that
had
was
bags.
the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah.
the 21st century, man. We need those
Well, you-
toilets.
No, you're right. The point that I'm getting at is that it wouldn't be the first time an astronaut's had to use a bag for waste extraction.
I mean, we did have a Dragon capsule, I believe, where the toilet had some issues. I think that was Inspiration 4.
Yep.
You also
True. Yeah.
had, with the shuttle, a fun one, the Peacicle,
Oh, not that.
where literally they would jettison the urine. So there was a good chance when the shuttle was flying that if you saw a shooting star, it could have been astronaut urine. But yeah, they went to jettison it and it froze and stuck to the side
Yep.
of the orbiter, which could have caused a problem on reentry. So they literally had to knock it free with the Canadarm.
Yeah, but ain't no meteor. What you got there is a big old chunk of poop. What? Oh yeah. Call them shuttle bombers.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
We don't delve into bathroom humor, but we do delve into space bathrooms.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
All
now
right.
let's thank some people after that. Which I don't know why you're crazy enough to
let's
support
do
us
that.
after that, but
No, you should support more. That'd be great.
Ryan
We clearly need it.
getting out from the
I bet
store
they all
saying,
went away now.
saying super excited for Star Week. I like that. Getting it out from the store right over Alex's face. Blake Alexander, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Will saying there's a gap where Test Patch 3 should have been. I'm not letting this one get away. Fingers crossed for stickers soon.
Yeah.
You guys and the community are just the best. Keep up the good work, everyone. Yeah, we're still out of Patch 3. Still not coming back. Stickers are currently still out of the question, but get Flight 4 while they're still available, because as you've now seen with Flight 3, when they are gone, they are legitimately gone.
Gone.
Angel G, what time are you starting coverage for Starliner? About 4 hours prior to the scheduled liftoff times. That way you'll be able to see the crew with their suit up process and driving by and getting in the spacecraft and all of that. So that would be 7:25 or 8:25 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, a little bit
7:25
earlier.
Central. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
around that
we
time.
are exactly.
So, yeah.
It'll be on our channel, so if you follow us, you'll see it anyways.
Yeah. make sure you're subscribed. It should be, on the channel. You can set reminders so that it gives you notification
Yep.
when we go live too. Coco Cats, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Anonymous, store message. I'm guessing this was before the bathroom talk, saying thank you for having these kinds of discussions. I'm not sure you still feel the same way now, but
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Michael Coviello saying thank you, NSF. Thank you, Michael. RC Horseman, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. And Austin Skirvin with the tip from tips.nasaspaceflight.com saying, I bet it's a very crappy situation on the ISS right now.
Oh, Lord.
I don't even want to finish reading the rest of that. So, yes, the system will hopefully be fixed.
Austin, no, don't say those things. Look at that.
You can read it
Oh my
yourself.
God.
I'm not reading it.
Yeah, I'm not reading it either, but man.
Bullet hole shooter.
No, let's not bring that up, please.
Why?
It's not. Because then we'll make you read it.
Oh, I'll read it. I'll do it.
We'll make you read the panel. Go ahead,
do it.
Sawyer.
I think that's the perfect point to just...
Okay.
Yeah. Let's not entertain that any further.
I mean, we could, but anyway. But you guys don't want to hear about poop. You want to hear about Alex, and you want to hear about Alex filling your ear holes with Starship knowledge.
Me.
Alex? Yeah.
Me. Oh, okay. So I guess it's my turn. Whoa. Okay. Woo. Well, there's been a lot of things Starship related. There's this thing called a wet dress rehearsal that happened on Tuesday, if you remember, after Memorial Day weekend and holidays and all that stuff. So there you can see on my, on my left, the 2 vehicles for Starship's next flight, that is Ship 29 and Booster 11. They have received their flight termination system. Again, that was after a wet dress rehearsal that happened this Tuesday, May 28th, finally completing the wet dress, because they did another one 8 days earlier on May 20th. And let's say that it didn't look full completely. I don't know, like it didn't seem entirely done. But there you can see that I don't know. It's a detonation suppression system test. I'm not sure what I'm actually looking at other than that. But yeah, so they did the whole wet dress rehearsal test sequence where they went all the way through until the end of the count. There you can see those shots of the tank farm spooling up. Yes, I'm happy. Thank you, Kevin.
There's the wet dress rehearsal.
Thank you.
I was trying to fill time. But you move too fast.
But I'm going chronologically. We had,
Sorry,
I
Alex
could go,
talking fast about a topic.
you could playing a talk a lot. I could talk a lot more and more slower. I don't know. But yeah, we had the wet dress this time around. They actually went through the entire thing. There you can see a very frosty Booster 11 with a very frosty Ship 29 on top, and it's a very slow tilt, to be fair. But yeah, we had that live stream. It was interesting because I was on that live stream and we had a Starlink launch at the same time. So that kind of, from a commentary perspective, the launch happened within 10 minutes of the supposed T0 for this wet dress. So, mentally as a commentator, I was like, okay, I'm on launch day. It's June 5th. Let's go. This is the launch of a Starship. I wish it would have been the actual launch of a Starship, but unfortunately, it was not the launch of a Starship. That launch of a Starship, as I said, is targeted still for June 5th. We have more road closures and all the hazard zones and everything. They're coming out. It's like a trickle every day or so. We get a few more notices and more hazard zones and whatnot. There's a bunch of places that need to be closed off, from air, ground, water. I don't know, space maybe. I don't really know if that's a thing. But essentially, there's a lot of things that need to be closed off, both for launch and reentry, here in at the Gulf of Mexico, and also at the Indian Ocean. So as you can see there, that's a list that we have on next spaceflight. If you type whenhop.com, that can also bring it up, because that's an interesting thing as well. Whenhop without the H on the win, so it will be WEN hop.com. So there you go.
Excuse me.
And if you do
Unhop.
that, it throws you to that page. So that is essentially the status. Again, we are just with the flight simulation system installed on both vehicles. I'm trying to go through the whole list of things here that we have to talk about. This is a lot of things. The flight safety determination was also complete by the FAA. That was actually last week on Friday, but we didn't know until this Tuesday. That was thanks to Adrian, by the way. Thank everyone in chat. Say thanks, Adrian, because he got that scoop from the FAA that they had that safety determination report, which is another way of returning back to flight and everything. And that's essentially where we are right now. Now we are waiting for the final licensing stuff to come out, essentially the modification to that launch license, which frankly, it can come out literally the afternoon before of the launch, and it still is it's still valid, to be able to launch on June 5th. So if it releases on June 4th, it's okay. I've seen a lot of people saying, why are you talking about Starship launching next week? It's not confirmed because they need regulatory approval and everything, and it's totally fair. But if we did that, well, I've got bad news for you, because there's a lot of different Falcon 9 launches out there that they are not in their license and they need to modify their launch license. And guess what? We still cover those Falcon 9 launches well before they happen and well before the launch license is modified. That's a thing that not a lot of people know about, and I always bring it up because it's true. Sometimes when they do a new type of mission that is not on their launch license, they have to modify it. And yeah, I guess I went all through everything. Did I forget anything, Sawyer, EJ? If you have anything else, there's like 1,000 different things that have happened.
So just to recap, dude, what don't we have here, like in terms of the keys, keys to the ship, like getting to launch, which is net June 5th, right? Like we have the notice to marine traffic, right? What else do we have?
Yeah, again, we have a lot of different hazard zones. You can see marine hazard zone, temporary flight restriction, notice to mission, evacuation notice. All of those come out eventually. Like, this is not something that I will personally be worried about, because it is something that just it's like a trickle, right? One day you get one kind of zone. At the end of the day, they all need to come out one way or another. I will worry more about them coming out for a different day, for example, which can happen. For example, if for whatever reason SpaceX were to delay beyond flight, beyond June 5th, we will probably either hear it directly from them, or if not, we will find out because one of these hazard zones has either either a new one has appeared for a later date, or it's just that one of the existing ones has been canceled, and then they have replaced that with a newer one that is later into the month. So for example, I will worry more about the existing ones or any of the new ones being targeted for like a different date, rather than, oh, this is a very critical thing. Of course it is critical, but it's always completed well before the launch happens. The one that we are looking for that is really in everybody's minds is the FAA launch license modification. Again, that is something that needs to happen. Now they can actually get it because they have that flight safety determination. The only difference now, obviously, is that they also need to make sure that they still comply with all of the licensing requirements. And this time around, we know that they have the landing of the ship. In previous occasions, in previous flights, the plan called for the ship to just smash against the ocean, so to speak, at terminal velocity. Now they're going for the flip and landing burn. So there's probably some changes as well there on the regulatory side of things. Perhaps maybe an environmental assessment of what it entails, because that was sort of included on the one for Flight 3. Flight 3 had one of these, read and re-evaluations that they do for the environmental assessment, to include that they were landing on the Indian Ocean. But you never know, right? Like, maybe they really need to look into it. We never know until it's actually completed. So once we actually get to the point of getting to the launch license modification and we see all of this documentation, maybe we'll be able to know more what sort of scope of paperwork they needed to do. Sometimes there's a lot of things that they need to go through.
Now, here's the real question: how far do you think this thing is going to get into this campaign in terms of flight? Sawyer, you think it's going to make it all the way to the flip and burn?
To the flip and burn? Yes.
Yeah.
Past the flip and burn? That's another story. We haven't, like we were talking about on the first countdown to launch, which there'll be another one tomorrow. They haven't done the flip and burn with the Raptor V2s yet. Everything was going back to the early SN days. We saw SN15 was the last real flip and burn, basically. So I don't. Maybe there's some changes to center of mass, center of gravity that they might not account for with the extra power. That part I'm not sure, but I think with all of the extra things they've now taken into account so that the vehicle doesn't kind of tumble out of control and the part that's supposed to actually hit the atmosphere hits the atmosphere, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Do you think Super Heavy's going to do the fake catch correctly, or hit the water going supersonic, or at least pieces of it hit water going supersonic like last time?
I mean, yes.
Yeah, you think it'll make it?
No, I don't know. I was saying yes to there. I think we'll have a better idea with the burn. I could see that first burn actually working with all 13 engines. Beyond that, for the actual touchdown portion, I don't know why. My gut vibe is that they're going to either run low on fuel or there's going to be another clog in the lines unexpected that cuts out more of the engines than they expected on that last burn. I think they're going to make it for that entry burn, so to speak, but not the landing burn. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, right? You always... Yeah. What's up, Alex?
There's this weird guy in chat called Jack Bayer who says, do we think the launch license mod for Flight 4 will also include Flight 5, excuse me?
Alex, I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you think it will? I mean, it's been on a case-to-case basis thus far. You think we'll get a blanket for 4 and 5? That's a tough one. Jack, why'd you do that? Why are you doing this to us? What the heck, man?
See, the thing is,
to you.
It could go both ways, right? It could go both ways in the sense that it could go as, let's just do Flight 4 and we'll deal with Flight 5 once we get there, right? It's something that, because if you think about it, having it licensed for 2 flights, it kind of sounds like it's probably more complicated. I don't know if to you guys, like 2 flights instead of just 1 might entail more paperwork and probably not changing plans at last minute on your 5th flight. Hi, Daz, by the way. He's not live, but
wait, he's not here.
But yeah, this is the video that we put out for ahead of Flight 2, because we started seeing all of these usual headlines of, oh my god, Flight 2 is gonna happen next week or whatever. This was in September. Flight 2 didn't happen until November, by the way, just so you know. So we make this video because a lot of people were confused. When is the flight happening and all of that? And so we made a whole video just to, so people could know what are the things that we look out for in terms of, node temps, node Mars, and all that jazz and everything, to make sure when the launch will happen. And so, that applies to not just Flight 2, but also 3, 4, and, whatever other things, other flights might happen in the future. And speaking precisely of future flights, we're talking about, Flight 5 and Flight 4 being both at the same time on the launch license. And again, I don't really know. It could go both ways. Again, having both kind of sounds to me that there's probably more paperwork involved, but also at the same time, SpaceX may want to clear Flight 5 already out of the way so that they can go through directly, like quicker turnaround in terms of the paperwork. But also at the same time, it will probably make them decide on a plan for Flight 5 already, right? And I don't know, maybe they fly these 4th flights and they're like, we want to change what Flight 5 is going to be all about. And then, they need more paperwork, they need to change the license again or whatnot. And so, yeah, I don't know. We'll just wait and see as usual. And that's essentially my answer to all of this, my really long answer to
Yeah,
all of
no,
this.
I think
I'm
as
a fan of
often
the
as
long
the flight changes, I mean, heck, even just the what we've seen from Flight 3 to Flight 4 now with the flip and burn and things like that, they've made such large changes, and also they technically haven't had a fully successful flight that went exactly according to plan yet. I think they're still going to do the one at a time for now, but I think it's going to be a lot quicker between launches that they now give the approval. That would be my guess to start, and then further on, maybe they'll start adding more, or it'd be like, say, Flight 6 and 7 type approval. But I think for right now, it would make the most sense to just take it one flight at a time. But the more they do it, as we've seen, the quicker they'll get, hopefully, at the approval process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you guys. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. Like, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, right? With a blanket launch license for 4 and 5, but I don't see it happening. I mean, for the straight reason, like, Flight 4 is supposed to be a, propulsive landing out of the ocean. Flight 5 is supposed to be a catch, wherever that may occur. Catching tower, no, yeah, spicy, no, yes, maybe. Who knows? I mean, it's a different flight trajectory. It wouldn't make sense to do a blanket license, but hey, they've done blanket launch license before during the Starship flight testing that we saw. So too bad that SpaceX didn't fly the things that they blanket launch licensed. They scrapped them instead. That's kind of the opposite of what we wanted to see. But hey, the design changes. It happens.
Ironically, that was actually because that was for SM-15, they had 15, 16, and 17 approved for flight. It was like a blanket license kind of thing. Ironically, that was the last time that I guess a Block 0, if you will, vehicle launched. That was the non-orbital Starship. Then we went to Ship 20, Ship 24, 25, 28, and now we are on 29. The next two vehicles, 30 and 31, are supposed to be Flight 5 and Flight 6. Maybe 32 will fly, we don't really know. There's a good chance, essentially, that 30, 31, and 32 are scrapped, and they go straight ahead with version 2 of a Starship. Like, that's a real possibility. If this flight goes so well, there's a possibility that maybe Flight 5, could not be. I'm not saying it will, by the way, just so I get ahead of Chad. I'm not saying it will. It's just that knowing SpaceX, there's always a chance that some vehicles may be scrapped or leapfrogged for newer variants, newer and better vehicles. And so I don't think it'll happen for Flight 5, though, because it's probably too early, in my opinion. We haven't really seen a completed Starship version 2 in the first place. But I think maybe, for example, Ship 31 is probably like Flight 6, essentially. It's probably in danger. Sparky.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Sparky.
right? Sparky
I'm giving it that name.
is in
That's
danger.
That's its name now.
And then the armless ship, I guess it's the, or rather flapless ship, which is, no, I'm not talking about 26. I'm talking about another one that is 6 ships after that, which is 32. I say it's flapless, but it actually has the forward flaps, but it doesn't have the aft flaps. I guess sort of like a weird mix. But yeah, that one, it's not even completed. Like, they just stacked it and put it out in the rocket garden, and they haven't really done anything with it other than, I don't know, look at it and maybe say whoa passing by, but not really anything important with it. Whereas 30 and 31 have actually gone, some work done. They have tested Ship 30. They tried to test 31. So yeah, there's a good chance that we see some of these vehicles being leapfrogged, to be fair. So yeah.
I mean, technically, they tested it.
They tested something. I don't know what the result was. I don't know. Got a little hot.
Yeah, and I was waiting for the stinger and the music. I'm glad it.
Oh, come on!
There it is.
Kevin, I hope you forget to plug your phone in before you go to bed tonight, and the battery dies when you wake up in the morning.
It's
Okay.
even funnier that the stinger didn't come up on screen.
He will actually be very afraid of that because I think he's operating tomorrow's Starliner live stream.
I hope you step
tonight's
on a
Starlink.
Lego.
And tonight's
It's probably
Starlink.
not a good idea for me to miss tomorrow morning's stream or tonight's stream. So that's a bad idea, EJ.
It's not a bad idea. I just wished it upon you. It's different.
I know. Now it's gonna happen, and then everybody's gonna be upset because the Starliner stream's gonna go live late.
Okay, you can
We're
you can
always
blame me
live
if it's
late.
late,
Come
but
on.
not too late. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say if it has to be a certain threshold for tardiness here, and then you can blame me. But up until that point, it's still your fault.
Jay's already volunteered to steal the job from you.
There you go. They said he can handle it. Oh God, no! Stop it!
Dear.
Stop it! It's sucking my will to live.
First off, I love how that still just goes to a black screen before it transitions out. And second, what is the name of that song? Now I want to know.
Oh, I don't.
It's I Feel the Love.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I just feel the hate when I see
I feel something,
Ship
all right.
26.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Oh, dear
Sawyer,
Lord.
It's in the queue. Do we have anything in the queue?
Yeah, let's go
Oh,
to
man.
support because, yeah.
Probably shouldn't have
was-
had me host this.
26 is like a really, really edgy kind of vehicle, right? Because it's like,
I hate it.
no, not a lot of people like it. But then somehow people with really bad taste like it for whatever reason.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
What's that
seriously.
about?
Paul Kruger
Sure,
is saying
yeah.
here, assuming that ice is clogging things in the booster on landing burns, how do they resolve that issue?
Good question. Good question. Can I take this one, dudes? Is that cool?
Go for it, EJ.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, SpaceX is having problems, particularly with Super Heavy. At least that's what they said was the cause of some of the engines not relighting after most engine cutoff, or MECO for Starship. In case people don't know, Starship uses a hot staging method of staging where, for a split second, 3 of the engines on Super Heavy are activated at the same time that 6 of the engines are activated on Starship, and then it separates. It's not what you see with Falcon 9, where you get a distinct stage separation, and then second stage engines start 1, and then you're good to go. The reason why Starship is doing that is for, a plethora of reasons. One of the big ones being mass. This is the simplest way to stage a rocket. The Russian counterparts have been, Roscosmos have been using a hot staging method on Soyuz and previously Voskhod before that, and the Semyorka, the R7 Semyorka before that, since 1957. So hot staging works. It's a very simple way of doing things. And so because Super Heavy shuts down 20 engines, 30 it's 30 engines, right? It's just 3. They shut down 30 engines, and then they relight 10 of them after it's separation, after hot staging, separation, and burn, right? Some of those engines have had trouble relighting, and because of that, that basically completely screwed up on IFT3. That completely screwed up their landing burn. Amongst other things, booster it exploded 420 meters off the ground. There's that number again, and what was left of it hit the water going Mach 1 or somewhere in the transonic regime, which that's a really cool way of saying there's nothing left. You're probably never finding a piece of that. So during this relight, you get solid oxygen. SpaceX cited the reason why these engines didn't relight as solid oxygen being built up in the lines and clogging the filters.
Did they say
right?
solid oxygen, or I believe they just mentioned like a general blockage on the oxidizer lines, but they didn't say exactly what
that's
it
probably
was.
me. Yeah, that's probably me presuming a little
Yeah.
bit. Now, okay. So let me rephrase that. If I had to guess, it's probably solid oxygen. That probably comes. If I had to guess, this is a big guess for me. It probably comes from the type of fluid turbulent flow that you get from a vehicle with very complicated plumbing. The N1, the failed Soviet lunar rocket, had this same problem. They had problems with filters getting clogged from they said FOD ingestion, and I believe with the N1 it was a bolt or something coming unstuck. Now I don't think that SpaceX is having those kind of problems. Like I said, which is why I guess it's presuming that it's solid oxygen probably is a little bit of a stretch. But I mean, what else could it be? It's not like some guy's peeking his head in the tank before they fuel it and you go, oh yeah, that bolt's loose. Yes. So I mean, how are they going to deal with it? I don't know, man. There's plenty of ways to deal with that. I mean, first of all, is adding more filters. I mean, the filters can liquid flowing through these pipes really, really fast is a lot more complicated than one might think. You're gonna run into cavitation and turbulence a lot faster. I mean, than you think. Because like, think about the turbo pumps and the fluid impellers on Raptors. I mean, even like it's not 33, but even 13 of them on that relay. That's moving enough fluid to drain an Olympic swimming pool so fast that you would actually be able to see the water level go down. Like it's a lot quicker than one might think. So there's elbows in these pipes. There's bends in the pipes. There's flexible parts of the pipe that are designed to deal with thermal contractions that you get from moving cold propellants through it. All this can create, temperature changes that could solidify or it could evaporate propellants. And once again, I might be presuming, but if I had to guess, it's probably one of those things. It's not like SpaceX had some foreign object debris or FOD sitting around in these tanks. The tanks get cleaned before they send this thing out to the pad, like well before that. So yeah, that's my guess. I mean, you can, and keep in mind that these filters aren't just for blocking stuff up that you like blocking up FOD or bolts or nuts or anything. These filters are also there to keep the flow, keep the liquid propellants or the commodities in laminar flow to prevent what I'm talking about from happening. Think about it like kind of like it's trying to keep the propellant uniformly going through the pipe, which doesn't happen when you have elbows in your pipe. If you have a pipe that looks like a Z, the water's going to move around, and like if you have 290 degrees, the pipe's going to move around, and the water's going to move around in the pipe like a water slide almost. It's going to slide back and forth. You definitely don't want that happening with propellant transfer from the tanks into the motors. So yeah, if I had to guess, that's what's going on. And SpaceX installing more filters on this could not just be for ingestion. It could be for changing the flow of the propellants going in through the plumbing into the motors, because you definitely don't want anything solid hitting that fluid impeller. I mean, I don't know. Engineers aren't the names for engineering equipment and stuff is usually pretty straightforward. It's called a fluid impeller, not a solid impeller. It's not a snowblower, right? So you probably want to make sure that nothing gets to the impeller. So what's the impeller? Just in case anybody's wondering, that's the pump. It's the pump that moves the propellants pulls the propellants from the tanks and puts them into the preburner, and then downstream somewhere you get an explosion, and the explosion comes out the bottom. Right?
Why is that not called a propeller?
Yeah. That's a good see. Engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
Yeah, so
with different conclusions you can jump to.
Yeah, one of the issues that I have with the whole thing, apart from SpaceX not really saying what is actually blocking the things, which is, it will be so easy for them to say, oh, this is what is blocking our stuff, right? This is really what is being an issue. Apart from that, one of the things that I've sort of paid very close attention to is that this is something that has happened on Flight 3 and Flight 2, essentially. And both times it has happened on the oxidizer side of things, essentially on the oxygen side of things. And there's this thing, which you can see there, that's actually for a ship, and it's very old. Like, you can even see the old NASASpaceflight logo on the corner and everything. This is from an old daily video. But you can see more or less, if we can pause it, or there, maybe there, if we can pause it there.
Yeah, see, there it is.
This is the methane sump. So essentially you have the two main tanks of a Starship. There's the methane tank on top, and then the oxygen tank at the bottom. And so in order to get all of your methane, excuse me, because I have a thing in my eye, but there we go. in order to get your methane to the engines, because they are at the bottom, obviously, you need to get this big transfer tube through the through the oxygen tank down to a manifold that distributes all that to the engines. And there's this thing that it's called an anti-vortex device that what does, it literally says, says it in the name, it avoids a vortex as you drain that methane. You don't want a vortex created on your sump, because then you can suck in some of that ullage gas into your transfer tube, and you don't really want that. Falcon 9 has a very similar device as well, and it's some kind of AVD, they call it, anti-vortex device, and it not only helps with that, but as you can see, it has screens on it. So there's like these little filters on it that allow them to be able to filter any debris, any sort of ice or whatever it's there, it gets filtered. And so whatever, all of the methane that goes through, it just goes clean through the transfer tube and into the manifolds, and everybody's happy. Meanwhile, on the oxygen tank, there's no such device, because the engines are attached directly to the dome, on the aft dome of the ship. Well, we're talking about the booster. On the ship, they are attached to a puck, and then the outer vacuum engines, they are directly mounted to the dome. What I'm getting to is that there's a smaller path from where the tank is to where the engine is. So you have a lot fewer chances to have all of these screens and debris, avoidance kind of hardware. You cannot have all of those filters and all that stuff, or at least have a lot of that when you have a an engine that is directly mounted to the tank. Essentially, you have a lot of less time for you to be able to put that hardware in. So this is one of the things that really struck me with with this whole thing with it, which is like, why is it happening only on the oxidizer side of things, and why is it not happening on the methane side of things? There's that. And then there's also the favorite of the internet, which is Raptors don't have heat exchangers. They use the pre-burner exhaust. Now, there's no confirmation of that, but it will also potentially explain this when you think about it, where you have the methane is already heated up by the nozzle. That's a thing that you cannot really remove from your engine, because that's the coolant for your engine. Whereas on the oxidizer side of things, you really do need a heat exchanger in order to be able to heat up the oxygen and make it gaseous to then put it back on the tank. They use, again, for those that may not know, they use autogenous pressurization, where you put the gas of that propellant inside of the propellant tank. So the liquid oxygen tank has gaseous oxygen on it, and the liquid methane tank has gaseous methane on it. And the way to do that is you use the engines. They are hot, and so they can provide your energy to heat up that liquid to a gas temperature, and you put it back on the tank. So again, this theory says there's no such thing as a heat exchanger for the oxidizer side of things. You can get one for free on Raptor for the fuel, because again, it is used for cooling the nozzle and the thrust chamber and everything. So you already heat up the methane one way or another. So you can just tap it off from the cooling lines and put it back on the tank. You don't really need a specialized heat exchanger. But again, for the oxidizer, you need it because you don't use it for any coolant. The theory is, instead of doing that, they just tap off the pre-burner, the oxidizer pre-burner, and put it back on the tank. That could be a possibility. We don't really have a confirmation of it either way, but it would explain perhaps the blockage by saying, if this were the case, you will have as subproducts on your heat exchanger, not heat exchanger, excuse me, on your pre-burner, you will have oxygen, CO2, and also you will have water. And that CO2 and water could, in theory, precipitate as a from gas in your tank. It gets cooled down by the liquid, and so it just forms like an ice on your liquid. The water will be floating on the liquid oxygen, but eventually the CO2 is actually in solid form. It's actually heavier. It's more denser than the liquid oxygen, so it will essentially go all the way down. That could be a problem for your filters at the bottom of your tank where you have all of those engines there. That's a potential explanation that I've seen put out there. Again, we have no confirmation, right? But we're talking about different possibilities here, and one of them, again, it's
off
like
the cuff, dude.
exactly what and the fact that it happens on the oxidizer tank, and then there's this other theory. It's like maybe. We don't really know, right? It will be so easy for SpaceX to just put out like 2 lines. Oh yeah, it's this. What blocks it, right? It's like, but unfortunately, we don't have that luxury, so we have to resort to different theories and whatnot, and what might be happening there. I guess at the end of the day, what they really need to find out is what is actually causing the issue. Like if it is the pre-burner exhaust or whatever, then maybe they need to reintroduce a heat exchanger. Who knows, right? Or maybe if it is debris, maybe they need more cleaning. If it is solid oxygen, maybe they need more modeling, essentially removing altogether the source of that blockage. So eventually boosters are not just a big filter with some fluid in it, right?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. There are other rocket engines with heat exchangers on them. The RD-170, RD-180, they have heat exchangers. They have heat exchangers on the pre-burner side of things. They're there. It's not the craziest thing to think that they might do something like that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're dealing with the real estate of shoehorning, or the space, like the volume of shoehorning 33 Raptors up in there. Anything that you put in there is going to be complicated, and there's going to be some unknowns here and there. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. The fact that we, for IFT2 and IFT3, we had a sequenced 33 engine ignition and basically a clean burn all the way to most engine cutoffs. That's impressive in its own regard. Like, I mean, that's really difficult to get something like that right. Is this an Earth temperature problem? No, Hoff. I mean, not really. I mean, considering where they're having that restart problem, right? Like they're having the restart problem during relight for boost back. So, I mean, Falcons Maze in chat actually pointed out a second ago that this problem is happening most likely from an engine shutdown. Igniting engines isn't like just in KSP just hitting the go button, right? It's not like that. It's a little bit more complicated. Anytime you're putting an engine through a startup, you're changing a lot of things really, 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 really fast, and engineers don't like that. They're not good at dealing with customers. No, you're going through what's called transients. You're changing a lot of things super fast. And this is even more on top of that because you're shutting down 30 engines, right? And then you're keeping 3 engines on, and then immediately after that, you're relighting 10.
And all of that while you're flipping.
What? Yeah, well, the thing's moving, right?
Going back, yeah.
Yeah, it is a complicated thing going on here. So yeah, I think Falcons Maze in chat is right in that regard. I really think that it's probably something from shutting down an engine and then restarting it immediately. Because normally, right, what you do is you thermally condition engines. I see NASASpaceflight over there in chat talking about the RS-25. Yeah, you'd have to thermally condition the engine.
It took 2
now, when
hours.
You're shutting it off, right? Yeah, exactly, right?
That's a really complicated engine to thermally condition.
Exactly. It takes time to chill down the engine. This is a chill down sequence that, shut down and then a chill down and a prime and then relight. That happens in I don't know, 5 seconds. And it's with 10 engines, right? So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's impressive that they've gotten this far this quickly. And I really don't think that whatever the filter problems, whatever the blockage might be, due to turbulent flow or cavitation in the pickups or whatever, I don't think it's so much a unsolvable problem, right? It's very much something that you just got to figure out. And that's what SpaceX is all about. You test something, you fly it, you learn something from it, you figure out a new problem with it, and we got another problem. All right, just smash that problem, move on to the next one.
It might actually explain why, they decided this time around to ask the FAA, hey, can we return to flight even if we don't have the mishap report completed? Mm-hmm. Because it might very well be that they are just, wanting to get data from this flight, from Flight 4, to completely finish that report, right? That could be a thing where they're
Yep.
like, we need a little bit more data from flight, so we really need to actually test these all of these solutions during flight and see if they actually work.
Bingo.
One thing that I saw in chat as well, about putting the pre-burner exhaust back on the tank. It is something that sounds crazy, but that was actually done in the past. I cannot remember exactly which rocket was, but I do know that one of the early European rockets, I think it was maybe Ariane 1 or 2, I don't know. It was very early on in the European spaceflight program, I guess. They used the pre-burner exhaust and put it back on the tank to be able to pressurize it. So this is not a thing that, it was obviously a different fuel though. That was, I think it was hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. So it was a different mixes of fuels and everything. So it was probably a much safer mix to put back on the tank, but it is not unheard of to do that on your rocket. It's just not been done at this scale. So that that also will have been quite a complicated thing. We also saw, for example, during the flips, they had issues maintaining pressure on the header tanks, for example.
Yep.
Even with SN15, they had lower than expected pressure on the header tank, which it was not an issue at the end of the day because the ship was able to land and everything, but they were still having that issue, right, of having lower than desired pressure on the header tank. So the whole thing of keeping your propellants in the good, we've flown rockets that go up in just one direction for a long time, and it's only being very recently where we have rockets basically doing gymnastics in the air with those hops and all the flips and everything. And then you have Falcon 9, for example, but then again, it has much more stable propellants. You have RP1, it's a more simple engine. It's a gas generator. You use more conventional, pressurization like helium and things like that. It's a lot simpler in a lot of senses, right? So it is true that they have that experience, but it's not one-to-one at all with Super Heavy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is, whenever you're blazing a new trail in aerospace engineering, like whenever you're trying something new, A, you're going to get a lot of people saying, no, that's not possible. We've seen that a lot with SpaceX. And B, these challenges have never been tried. Part of the reason why SpaceX favors iterative design, because they are way into uncharted territory with this vehicle. I'll tell you that. Now, chat, I'm wondering if any of you guys have any questions. And to do that, I'm going to go over to Sawyer with the weather.
Sawyer!
Yeah!
Oh, I'm still here.
That was
Hi.
good, right?
Oh,
The weather is
there's my
cloudy.
box.
See?
Weather. It is. I don't know. My blinds are closed. So it is weather outside. Yes.
Yes, it is happening.
I do want to hit the support queue first, and then I've got a couple questions that are some really good ones.
All right, let's do it.
Kenneth saying, see you guys down in Texas next week, flying down Tuesday. Safe travels. We've got Mr. saying, thank you everyone at NSF, all the back of house lever pullers, photographers, writers, and hosts. Love all your hard work. Thank you. And thank you for getting items from the shop as well. Musical Wolves, will Starliner need to line the Starlinks for Starship for OFT4?
No.
Don't think the stars aligned for that one, sorry.
Dang.
That's the Starception, I guess.
And then Music Wolves also saying, where will the cranes be on launch day? Not near the launch pad, I would hope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
I
like.
Here's a good question, though. While we were talking about the landing portion, I still want to kind of stick with that for a second here. Bob Fillmore is one of a couple of people asking this. If it soft lands, will the booster and/or ship be floatable with empty tanks? So basically, what's going to happen to them if it actually does successfully make it down?
Dude.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, we saw Falcon 9. Nobody thought Falcon 9 could soft land in the ocean intact, but yet GovSat-1 and CRS-16 both did exactly that. CRS-16 to the point where they just towed that thing right back in the port. CRS-16, for the people that don't know, is booster 1050. A grid fin valve got stuck and it started spinning out of control and it diverted into the water. And it did its propulsive landing over there. And it was spinning like crazy. And then the landing legs deployed, and the increased moment from the leg deploy actually dampened out the roll rate, and it landed perfectly upright and then fell over. So, I mean, now keep in mind, Falcon 9 is not Starship. Those are very different rockets. But I mean, dude, I think it'll float. Now, what are they going to do with it if it does? I have no idea. Blow it up? Maybe.
Well,
Alex, what do you think?
we have already seen paperwork that apparently they have no intentions to recover Super Heavy or even Starship, and so their plan is just to open the valves, essentially command the valves to open on all the tanks and let it sink. If that were not to be, successful or anything like it, then they have the other option of activating the flight termination system remotely. And if that also doesn't do the work, then they can shoot it. They actually have that option as well, like the complete remote option of just shooting it. They don't really want to recover it, pretty much because of the fact that while CRS-16, yes, it landed and it was towed back to the port. First, it took quite a while to actually get through all of that. The Port Canaveral chief, I think, they were not wanting that thing going in until they made sure that it was fully saved. I've heard stories essentially of Port not wanting that thing to come in, and also it was very close to the shore. It was like a kilometer and a half, maybe like a mile and a half, or something like that. It was not very far away from shore, and it actually took like a couple of hours to, once they actually started rigging it and pulling it to port, it took a couple of hours to get there. This will be at the very least 20 kilometers offshore. This is like 20 times the distance. It is not as easy. And it's much, much larger. It's 70 meters tall, 9 meters wide, over 200 tons of mass. There's no incentive for SpaceX to really recover this and trying to bring it back. There's not really anything. What they can do is, if there's any floating debris or anything, they do have part of their environmental assessment sort of deal is that they will recover any floating debris. So maybe a COPV or something like that. If that floats, then they go out and recover it. In fact, I cannot ask for anything right now, but we have Gav, our own boat guy, I guess. He already found that Go America is, I think, the boat went out there, so it has gone to Starbase to support this launch. So every launch they have like this little boat, a decently sized but not big boat that goes out and actually, is part of all of these things of going to take a look at the debris and everything, and supporting those recovery efforts of whatever pieces are floating and everything, because it's part of their environmental assessment, right? So if they don't follow those rules, then they're not. There we go. Thanks, Adrian. But yeah, the whole deal with that is that it is a very important thing for them to do, so that they can keep complying with all of the environmental rules that they have.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go America.
I mean, unless I saw a lot of people in chat say Navy target practice. I for one am here for this. As long as we get to see it, like I want to see just, that'd be sweet. Explosions are pretty awesome.
I just love that the ship that will shoot at this rocket is called Go America. Like, come on.
How appropriate.
Poetic.
Go America. Maybe we shoot it. Go America.
Yeah.
Coming again to dispose of the booster. America.
Heck yeah.
I love that you made it PG.
Boy. Yeah.
That's totally how it goes.
That's exactly how it went.
It's obviously big rockets, guns, and shooting things, right? Like that's the whole deal with this boat.
Yeah, I love how it's legitimately in the paperwork from the early days. that they put it in the paperwork of, yeah, if it doesn't sink, we'll go shoot it. That it's legitimately written in official documentation.
But
Which,
yeah.
along those lines, though, I've been seeing this question, and it is a really good one. Six String Simpleton saying, does that mean when they say that FTS is safe, that it can be unsafe?
Yeah, that's generally a one-way system, but that's with Falcon 9. I don't know. Sawyer, have we seen them safe the FTS with Starship? I think we have.
We've heard them make a call out.
Yeah. So that means that they probably could.
How would they use the FTS then to sink it if it's safe?
Well, that's the thing that
change it.
they can just send a command. The thing with the flight termination system during flight is that it's completely automated. But in theory, they can send an override command and actually activate it if they really wanted to. They don't have it though. Like the whole purpose of it being automated is that there's no such thing as someone in the ground with a big red button that they have to press. That's sort of I've seen people being like, but for sure they must have like a manual override from the ground, like a really big button that they press. And it's like, no, because if they had that, they will also need like this big team of people that need to track the rocket, all of that big team of people. They don't need that anymore for Falcon 9. By the way, we have here a Falcon 9 booster being tested at McGregor. And so, for Falcon 9 at the very least, they can save a lot of money and a lot of time. And those, fast turnaround times that they do between flights, precisely because there's no team of people and no guy with a big red button pushing on that. But there's obviously a way to obviously override if you really wanted to do that. And, on Starship, they have that option of activating the flight termination system if they want to. You just send a signal.
Yeah, that was actually a super good question. Now I'm sitting here jogging the noggin trying to think about this. I'm like,
But
jogging the noggin, I like that.
What will happen to the ship,
jogging, man?
What about the ship?
Target practice.
Because the ship is like all the way around the globe in the Indian Ocean. Have we seen any vehicles, any boats, anything?
Well, like I said,
command.
They should send an A-10, right? And use it as a target practice.
Wait a minute. The A-10's Air Force, okay? All right. I think the Fifth Fleet could do with some target practice. Just keep them sharp. Where are my squids at? You know what I'm talking about.
No, it's the sharks with the lasers on them. That's what it is.
Someone say,
hey, they might have that, dude. You don't know.
The ULA sniper, yes.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
But yeah.
We've reached that point in this stream.
It's a great question. I actually, ahead of this stream, I actually read the paperwork for Flight 3 that said it said all of the stuff about landing the ship in the Indian Ocean, and it has this little portion about the soft landings. It says that they expect it to sink, apparently, that for whatever reason, they don't think it'll remain afloat. But you never know.
But also, Flight 3 didn't have the flip and burn. It had the idea that it was going to crash at almost terminal velocity.
Yeah, so on Flight 3, the paperwork is for both. So it essentially just talks about the landings in the Indian Ocean. So it has three options. One of them is there's actually no landing at all, like not even a try to get through re-entry. The ship is completely expendable. And Kevin, now it's your turn to go to your favorite ship, because that's the kind of ship that will do that kind of re-entry where you just not even attempt to go through the atmosphere, you just break it up, but it's over the Indian Ocean instead of the Pacific Ocean. The other option is what we expected for Ship 28, which was it goes through the re-entry and then it smashes the ocean at terminal velocity. And then the other option is what we're hoping to see with Ship 29, which is it goes through re-entry, it goes terminal velocity, but then very close to the ocean, it flips and lands. And so for that one, they say they expect it to sink. And Ship 26 is the best ship, of course, yes.
Oh, now they can clip you saying that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, clip it, and there, you have it. Make a video out of it.
Someone will. That's the scary part. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with it out there. Unless it's just one of those where it's like it's so out in the middle of nowhere that eventually, over time, it'll just sink, and where it sinks, maybe.
Yeah, that might be. It'll just sink, I guess. That's what what they think. They think it'll sink. Whatever.
It's
Oh
just-
no!
Hopefully,
No.
you don't have a sinking
No.
feeling about it actually
Oh,
working.
I knew it! I knew it was coming! Ah! Saw
Well-
it coming, chat.
And it's funny because it's not even the correct word. The correct word, I believe, is scuttle. But yeah,
We'll scuttle the ship.
there you go.
Ah.
Or from Connery.
Right now, Captain Tupolev is removing
Anyway.
the safeties. of
Anyway.
torpedoes.
While we're
Let's keep
talking
the
about
questions coming.
while we're talking about the ship, here's one from again Six String Simpleton with another really good question. What's the current condition of the tiles? Last we saw, there were still a few bare spots on D-Stack.
They look better.
Hmm.
I think they have already completed a lot of that work because I haven't seen them working again on the tiles, so that might be a good sign.
I
No,
mean,
EJ, you're actually out there. I can see ship 29 behind you.
oh yeah.
There you go. Can you report
on.
us on the status?
All right,
of
yeah. Here,
ship
let me get my
29?
binoculars.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. So what I think's going on here is that, I think it's much more important to SpaceX to get, some orbital launch capability here and just get the ship up there in one piece and, maybe back down with a reentry. But I don't honestly think that the tiles are in the critical pathway right now. So, we might see, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like they're not going to work on it, but if it makes it through reentry, remember Elon said for this next mission, it's just getting through peak heating relatively intact. Like, if they get through there, that's, the flip and burn is playing with house money at that point. And I know people are going to look at me funny, like, what do you mean the thermal protection system isn't part of the pathway? Well, think about it. Who's SpaceX's biggest paying customer for Starship right now? It's NASA. It's HLS. Does anything that is required out of SpaceX's architecture for HLS denote reusing a Starship? Right? So let me phrase that a little bit of a
Tankers?
different way. Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, if we have a Ship 26 clone up there with a tanker or depot or whatever, right? But theoretically, you could do this with expendable starships too. Super heavy is the thing you need to get back. That's the most important part. And I think that's why it's not that big of a priority. I mean, don't get me wrong, SpaceX is working on it. I think SpaceX has enough of an industrial capacity to be able to solve two problems at once. I'm pretty dang sure. But, even Elon himself has said, like, hey, it's just about getting the thing through peak heating. He says, the landing is...
Is that how Elon talks?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe. Yeah, definitely not.
There weren't enough
Anyway,
memes in that sentence to tell like
Continue, sorry.
Oh boy. So yeah, no.
You just put a voice, and I was like, "Is that Elon? Is that EJ
Yeah.
imitating Elon?"
Yeah. No, definitely not. Mountain. Anyway, so I think even if we see some tiles, maybe hopefully they don't. If we see them come off during ascent, or you don't see the thermal protection system like completely perfect, I don't think it's like that. It's not the highest priority. I'm not going to say it's not a priority because they're there. Obviously, it's a priority, but it's not the highest priority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I think that would just be a win to get it stable upon reentry. If we can,
Right?
see where it's not flipping and rotating and all that, and is actually belly down, that would be great. And given what we saw with the cameras on the flaps on the last one, I think even if the vehicle doesn't make it all the way through, they'll still get a lot of good tile data on the ones that are attached. At least I would hope. And more
Yeah, of
importantly,
course.
the ones, if they stay attached all the way through as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always,
So, yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I at least see, the usual comment of like, oh, why is it that, they're so worried about the heat shield tiles, and why don't they put it on a second stage of Falcon 9 or something and just make a reentry? And it's like, it's not about the heating problem. It's not like they don't know that the material will survive or not. It's actually about the whole complete system surviving or not. That is something that
Mhm.
Elon talked about, and in his comment on social media, he was saying that it's not even just the whole thing of re-entering, but also being reusable and rapidly reusable. Essentially, you can just reuse it again rapidly. I guess it's there in the
Mhm.
war, right? Essentially, using it quickly again. That's the whole deal with a Starship. And right now, it's like, yeah, let's get it through max peak heating and all of that. Let's get it through all of that, and let's see what places we can optimize it. I always see, and again, that's those comments are fair about why are they going with tiles and not going with anything else. And I always say, look, right now they're trying to figure this out, right? There might be a
Yep.
point in the future where they figure out that maybe this was not the best choice, and then they do something else. They did it with fair recovery. They were doing the whole catch from the air with the nets, and then they figure out, well, when they are out in the ocean, they are good to go. So let's just pick it up. And so it was not really that big of a deal to make that change. Of course, if they were to do a much more substantial change to Starship, that will probably impact more their timelines. But again, it's like they do have the resources and sort of the willingness to fail and change course when they really think they are not in the right track. So
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of rapid iterative design, dude. That's what this is all about. Try something, it didn't work exactly how I want. All right, try something else. Right? Anyway,
yeah.
Sawyer, do we got more questions?
We
These
got
are
a few
good
more.
questions.
Yeah.
I like these questions.
I think we have
I
time
like
for a
this
couple
plan.
more here.
All right, hit me up. Let's go.
Here's one from Roblox Master. I feel old.
Okay.
When ship catch?
Yes.
When do you think? I mean, obviously they've been working on the systems. We saw it last time. We saw this time they're working on getting that booster back. We're doing the flip and burn again. When do you think we'll actually see a catch?
Ship
year.
catch or booster? Dude, ship catch? I think that's a little ways off. For a ship catch, I mean, that's a little ways away. Booster? I think the booster, once again, I think because the booster is way more important at this point. If the booster doesn't work, there's no point in trying to get Starship working, right? Like, there's no point. The Starship can't SSTO with any usable payload. I still firmly believe it could. That might be useful in the future. I don't know how, but that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I think the booster catches are going to happen a lot sooner than ship catches. I think ship catches are, once again, not the highest priority right now. But also, yes,
So then when do you think booster catch? Let's change up the question.
I think Flight 5, that probably will happen, I'd say Q3 or Q4 this year, depending on how good 4 goes. The FAA seems to have, they seem to be getting better at figuring out these mishap reports. And, as we progress further and further into this endeavor that's mutually between FAA and SpaceX, I think the iteration or the rate of flights will go up. And honestly, okay, like this is the okay, we're going to get spicy here for a second. I think they can catch the booster. Yeah, I think they can. I think they'll do it on Flight 5. I think it'll work. Yeah, the physics behind it are tough, but with a bigger booster like that, you have a lot more moment, right? It's bigger. It's bigger. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If it's bigger, you get a lot more momentum going in one direction. It actually might be a little bit easier to get that thing to, I don't know if it's going to hover next to it and kind of translate over, but at least come down kind of sideways and land on those chopsticks. And like I said, SpaceX must have some ace in the hole here for booster landing, because you guys, like, we've seen the second set of chopsticks, they're shorter, right? So clearly they have some ace in the hole here to do a precise landing with the booster. I think they're going to do it. And, that would be really bad if I ate these words later, but I think they will. So, I mean, I don't know. On a future Flame Trench, you can come and make fun of me for getting it wrong later. Like, I'm sure someone would enjoy doing that. It's the internet, right? Like, but I think they'll catch it. I think they'll catch it sometime this year. I think that will happen.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree with DJ. It's probably going to be booster later this year. I don't know when later this year, to be fair, and ship probably next year. That's my take. Maybe late next year, but we'll see.
I wonder if they're going to wait until more of the new tower is built. I mean, we've seen them. Obviously, we've got a lot of the second tower parts already there. I think there's just, what, 2 left that are about to leave Kennedy towards Brownsville sooner than later. So I think maybe, I mean, it's going to go up fast. Once they get all the parts there and move everything with all the transports, it's going to rise pretty quickly. I think once we see more of that stacked, then we might see that catch attempt. So I'm thinking more towards Flight 6. But I think this goes along with one other question that we had that I think was also really good and worth asking, which is, what do you think is going to be the turnaround time, assuming all goes well, between Flight 4 and 5?
See, I think that pending the mishap report, right? Because if Flight 4 doesn't do exactly what they wanted to do, they're going to open a mishap report, right? So I think between Flight 4 and 5, I think Sawyer, I think that's pretty smart. I think they'll have that second pad made. I think it clearly, like, if you look at so SpaceX had a permit that they applied for with the FAA of erecting a permanent structure to show up on FAA maps. That you do that for like tall buildings, so pilots can look at a map and be like, "Oh, there's a tall building here. Let's not go near that," right? And the permit for the construction of the building was less than a year. Now, that you're not gonna if you're managing that project. Say, I mean, somebody at SpaceX that's in charge of putting all these pads together. You're going to budget the absolute maximum amount of time and then some that you think it's going to take to construct this thing. So you said we got those parts. They're down the street. Actually, down the street. Like, they are down the road. So I think that second pad will get made a lot quicker than the first one was. I mean, honestly, you built one, I have, get two at twice the price now. That's different reference.
Well, technically 3, because you had the one at 39A.
Right? Yeah, that's true, right? And not only that, but we see the tower segment. So, like, okay, the pad that you see right here, the main pad at Boca Chica, they moved kind of empty tower segments, stacked them, and then kind of installed a bunch of stuff on the sides. These tower segments, the ones that were, I think those ones were made at Roberts Road, right, guys? And then they were shipped to
7 of the 9, yes.
Yeah, 7 of 9. Nice.
7 of 9.
Yeah. 2 hopefully leaving sooner than later.
Yeah, there's
right.
2 remaining sections 4 and 5 at Roberts Road, and hopefully we're going to see them rolling out in the next few days to Starbase. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. Flyover? Maybe nothing there?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see the video, man, right? Sorry, 7 of 9. Nice. All right. So not only that, but we see parts on these pads. They're already there. So like a staircase, for instance, and conduits for electrical. They're all already installed on this. I think this pad's going to get put together a lot quicker, and I think it will be ready in time for Flight 5, which makes sense because, like I said, I think they're going to catch it with Flight 5. I didn't say what pad, right? I think that tower will at least be ready to accept a landing booster at the very least. At least I hope. Once again, if I'm wrong and the booster doesn't get caught on the first attempt and you get some pad damage, it might be a good idea to have 2 pads. Just saying, just put it out there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably going to take a lot more time though to get to Flight 5. Excuse me, to the second launch pad. But yeah, go ahead, Sawyer.
I was going to say, that's why I think Flight 6. It gives them more time to build it. And obviously, I don't think it's going to be complete by Flight 6, but I think it's going to be at a point where they've at least started construction that, knowing SpaceX's speed, they could kind of pick it up and allow them to get back faster in the event that the catch doesn't go exactly as planned.
I have probably a hot take here. I don't think that second tower will be ready for anything this year. Like, not a catch, not anything until next year. And will probably not be used until Starship V2. That's my take.
Yeah.
It's a hot take maybe, but
No.
I've seen already them building 2 Starship towers. The second one also was built in like 3 months, the structure, and then it took a long time to just get even the chopsticks installed. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's always going to take less time the second time you do it.
Third.
I'm just putting it out there. Yeah.
So
Third. There you go. Yeah.
But the second time,
my own disagreement.
The second time, it took about the same
Nice.
time as the first one, just to
Also-
stack. No. But I'm saying,
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm saying precisely because it has a lot more stuff already installed. The stacking and everything will probably take even longer. So instead of stacking it during 3 months, it'll probably be for a longer time. You also need to take into account the launching next door. So
Yeah.
And Elzar with a really good point in the back channel. There's no orbital launch mount for it yet. We have the tower segments built, but
I
not
was
the
getting
OLM.
to I was getting to that. Like they might, but see, I was getting that for a different reason. They don't need the OLM for a catch, do they?
well, you need a way
Don't.
to save the booster, and the way to save the booster is put it back on the overall launch mount, hook it up,
but
and
you could
you can
put it on
train
some
it.
SPMTs. Maybe the SPMTs that delivered the booster to the other pad in the first place. I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, put that
Awesome.
underneath. That sounds safe.
No, we don't need
Yeah.
to put it underneath it. We could put it over to the side. It can drive in later. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't want that, Sawyer. That would be kind of fun to watch, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that's not what we want.
that is very true. You know what else is fun? Representing your love of everything Starship, especially for Flight
Merch,
4, which you can do with the shop.nasaspaceflight.com Flight 4 apparel, including our patch, of which we have more than 60% sold, and once we are out, we are out. So if you want one, now is the time to get one. Don't wait. Call
one you
now. But wait, if you're not a patch fan, don't worry. There's more. You can also get it on a shirt. You can get it on a mug. You can get it on a rug. Well, no, you can't get it on a rug, but it sounded cool. And you can get it in multiple different colors, including on that sweatshirt there. You see it. It's red. It's blue. It's black. There's different color options too. So
I think we have orange too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
don't forget, if you don't have
Orange?
patches for Flight 1 and 2, you can still get those. We still have some of those left. Flight 3, sorry, we're out. But don't forget, shop.nasaspaceflight.com for all your Starship Flight 4 needs.
I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of want a Starship patch rug now. Like,
Adrian?
Let's
Adrian?
get Adrian
Hey.
on it.
Mein Freund, bitte.
I mean, we have a towel. Of course, I still lie
is
here,
true.
which is great. But yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I had to mention
that
that.
That was excellent, man.
Speaking of putting things on other things, I think this thing will have a thing on top of it soon.
That was
Anyways.
good words there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know how to word, but
Use your noggin to talk about Newland.
No,
I think that was
Stop it.
EJ. EJ.
Stop
Yeah,
it.
EJ, this one's all you.
Newland.
no. All right, I'll take this.
Nuclear.
So, yeah, I've posted on X here about a certain not autonomous spaceport drone ship, but what landing platform vessel 1 floating through the Bosphorus Strait in Turkey. Turkey, you notice, for if anybody's an antiquity fan, there's the Hagia Sophia in the background on the upper
Yeah.
right. It's a beautiful building. Anyway, so what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at a converted barge that's been converted for accepting new Glen landings. Now, we know that those drone ships are the ones that SpaceX uses. Those are not small. Those are not small drone ships. They're about the size of a soccer pitch or football pitch if you're from non-American land. Hey, the Australians call it soccer too, okay? Shh. Right. Anyway, so this one, guys, like Kevin, I don't know if we can zoom in on this. Look at the port aft part of that ship. You see a staircase and some doors. And if we can zoom in on that real quick, you can see the
He's
scale
trying
of
to
this
zoom
thing.
in now.
What is it on Kevin's face? Or on
Give me the zoom.
on EJ's face.
No, wrong zoom. Wrong zoom. Anyway, no,
There you go.
There we go.
If you guys look at the port aft part of this barge, you could see the staircases there. This is not a small vessel. This thing is significantly bigger than the drone ships that SpaceX is using. Now, bigger doesn't necessarily mean better, but also at the same time, you probably need a bigger drone ship to catch a bigger rocket. Falcon 9 is a 3.7 meter core, and that requires a pretty big drone ship. New Glenn is 7 meter, a little under double that size. So it kind of makes sense that, bigger booster, you need a bigger drone ship. But I mean, it's so cool to see it. One thing that I always say, from all my years covering spaceflight and hanging out with you guys, is that talk is cheap. You see companies say oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to launch this in 2017 and it ends up launching in 2022, right? Talk is cheap. You got to look for the hardware. The hardware is the important part here. And right here, what you're seeing is a critical piece of hardware for New Glenn right now. Now, does New Glenn need a converted barge for its first test flight? No, you probably don't do that. But also, Blue Origin has said that the first flight will be a landing attempt. They're gonna go right for the bacon. Jack, you're out there somewhere. They're going right for the bacon, dude. Yeah, I'm bringing you right in on this. I know you. I see you back there. No, not you, Jack. Yeah, see, he's waiting. He's in the back with a trench coat on. Go, no. But yeah, this is a first critical piece to support that Blue Origin will land their first test flight, or at least attempt to. Personally, once again, I think they're going to do it. I think what they learned from New Shepard is more than enough. Sorry,
he zoomed.
I think. Oh gosh, you're zooming in on me. Please, no. I told you not to do this, Kevin, Jen, Michael, Vincent, Reed.
We're gonna start looking at your cells, each and every one of them.
Stop it. Anyway, so this is, I mean, I think this kind of supports that we will see a New Glenn launch sometime this year. I think it'll be this year. I think it'll be late this year. The dish, yes. So, and this is one of the critical pieces to support that theory. I mean, the other thing would be, if you know a little bit about procurement and systems engineering when the application of launch vehicles, that propulsion, the engines are your long lead items. So people are going to say, oh, EJ, how do you know they're going to, we haven't seen any New Glenn. You just said, look for the hardware. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen Tori Bruno post an awful lot of pictures of B4s on X lately. Now that's for an entirely different reason. He's trying to show that ULA has plenty of Vulcan boosters teed up. And frankly, I'm here for it. I wish them all the best. That'd be fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong. The B4 engines that are on Vulcan aren't the ones that are going to be going on New Glenn. They're not just going to be we need some of these for our flight. Bye. No, what this shows is that Blue Origin is scaling. They are scaling their propulsion production. Any Factorio players out there? We're seeing a scale up. That factory that they built in Huntsville for B4 for propulsion manufacturing is cranking out B4s left and right now. I mean, the ramp probably started sometime right around Vulcan's first flight, a little while back, but you see them popping up all over the place. So that, I mean, you've heard it from, we're talking about Blue Origin, but you've heard it from Elon himself that scaling propulsion is vital to support a high launch cadence, and you run risk of bankruptcy here if you have a lot of launches to do. Now, ULA and Blue Origin do have launches in the pipe, New Glenn's first launch is NASA's Escapade mission. So now NASA's a paying customer for a New Glenn flight, and ULA is pretty much backlogged with Vulcan launches, because of Amazon, but so is New Glenn. There's contractual launches all over the place here. So not only are they mass producing engines, but they're mass producing engines for paying customers, right? And once again, look for the hardware. Talk is cheap. Look for the hardware. We see B4s all over the place. Officer Murtaugh, look at the hardware, right? Yeah. No, hey, that was a weird one, but if you got that right.
Also worth noting, by the way, really quick, for that Escapade mission, that is a Mars mission, which means it has a very tight window. It has, what, you said, a 10-day transfer window in the pre-show we were talking about?
Yeah. Very, very, very short.
It opens on September 29th, and then it closes on October 9th. So they have 10 days. Actually, no, October 8th. So yeah, it will be the 29th, 30th, 1st, and then all the way to the October 8th day. So yeah, only 10
Yeah.
days to get it off.
So,
I have
I mean,
this thing in my
Yep, go
phone.
ahead.
I don't know if we want to show it even, but I have a countdown, and you can see even there's one that's green, so that's like with a chroma kind of thing, the chroma key. So I have Slick 40. That's the next Starlink mission. That's going to be in almost 3 hours now. Slick 4 East, Starship, Pad, LC39A, and then New Glenn. So there you can see all of the different countdowns and everything that I have. And one of them is New Glenn, and it is precisely counting down to September 29th at midnight. I don't really
Cool.
know what will be the launch time. So yeah, 120 days to
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
120 days.
Yeah, I think it'll happen. I mean, once again, talk is cheap. You could say you're going to launch this in September. They can say it till they're blue. Oh, God, I'm hanging out with Sawyer too much. You could say it till they're blue in the
Yes.
face.
Yes.
You could say it. They could say it till they're blue in the face, but the hardware backs it up. You know, Kevin showed that picture of the New Glenn Pathfinder on the
Simulator.
transporter rector. Yep. Yeah.
Because
there you go,
otherwise
right?
Harry will pull my legs or something. Anyways, but yeah, go ahead.
Pathulator.
Because
It's
he's
the
like,
New
oh,
England's
the Pathfinder.
Pathulator
The
5000.
Pathfinder is actually the one that they put vertical and they loaded it and everything, while the other is the simulator. Anyways, but yeah, this
It would
is
have
the
to be your leg
simulator one.
anyway, because he's upside down in Australia.
Yeah, he is, mate. That's right.
But anyway, continue.
So, like I said, we've seen the structural simulator pathulator, and then we've seen them do fueling tests with vehicles that have high fidelity or maybe future converted flight fidelity tanks. So, like I said, talk is cheap, but also here's the hardware. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw just a fully kitted out New Glenn booster just rolling out of their production facility down at the Cape. Like, I don't know, sometime sooner rather than later.
At one point, they'll have to, if they're launching in September, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We have to be very, very close to the point of them rolling out one of these boosters with engines attached. They put it out on the pad, they fire the booster, and put it then a second stage on top, put it out again, maybe a wet dress or whatever, put the payload on and launch it. Like, that's the whole thing, right? We should be really close to that point because we're essentially 3 months away. Well, 4 technically, but yeah, we're 4 months away from that launch, from that opening of the window. So they really need to get really, really close, or else they're not going to be able to launch that mission.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen vehicles in we've seen in the 2CAT. We've seen some of the flight, what we believe to be flight hardware, in progress. So we know it's there. It's just a matter of when it actually is able to roll out. We think maybe they'll hopefully do some testing soon, because we've seen late at night, the last couple of nights, they've been turning the lights on at the pad. Haven't seen them do anything besides turn the lights on and off, but at least someone's there flipping the switch, so that's something.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, they've said that they have at least 4 boosters right now in production, and that is essentially what they're wanting to produce in terms of boosters. We have seen perhaps tankage for 2 of them. So we saw the one that was used as Pathfinder to load stuff, and that apparently that tankage. So the engine section and interstage are not for flight, but the tankage is for flight. So the methane and oxidizer tanks, they are for flight. So those essentially, they just slap an engine section that's for flight, and on an interstage that is for flight as well, and boom, you have a booster for flight. We saw another set of tanks being tested at I think at the TCAT building. We saw that as well, and more recently we saw more parts within, you know, on one of these flyovers. We saw one of the hangars that they have at the exploration park. It was open, and we could see parts of a tank already for, you know, for stage 1 and everything, because you could see the 6 or, you know, holes for the outer engines on the on the bottom of New Glenn because they have the other the middle one is right in the middle, so it already has a hole because it's a dome with a you know what I mean. But yeah, we could see those attachment points and everything. So we've seen at least tankage for maybe 3 boosters, which is interesting.
Yep. Dude, like I said, everything points to a production ramp, mostly for propulsion, but also for boosters on the ULA side of things and on the Blue Origin side of things.
And also, I now know where those are because I had to go and highlight and circle each and every one of those points on that video.
You did the editing of those, but it is true, right? Like now, obviously, there's the thing of they're now making the boosters, right? It's like, look at this. This might be like what 1080 something. I don't know. It's a Falcon 9 booster. I know it's a Falcon 9 booster because it has the black interstage, Falcon Heavy center cores. They have white interstage, and it also has a Falcon 9 logo on the side. Unlike the Falcon Heavy side boosters, they don't have a Falcon 9 logo on them. So that's like the 80 something Falcon 9 booster, whatever, or this here. Hang on.
You changed the picture on you, man.
Jeez. Yeah, they keep changing. McGregor Live, whatever.
What are you doing?
But it's like they have produced all of this in 14 years or whatever. Meanwhile, Blue Origin is now building 3 boosters. Oh well, are they going to be launching at all? Is that something that they can really sustain? Are they going to be even attempting the landing of the first one? Like, what else are they going to be doing? Right? It's like there's so many questions about their production, where it's like, sure, you're working on it. The problem might be not about you not working on things, but rather how fast you work on those. And that is a totally fair question of, sure, you're working on boosters and second stages and everything, but are you making them at the rate that you will want to? And
yep.
Yeah.
It's hard to scale a production base for a launch vehicle.
Yeah.
Whoever cracks mass production of rockets is going to really break the mold in terms of like industry standard here. Now, I think SpaceX is looking to do that, but there are other companies out there that are trying to solve this problem too.
Yeah,
definitely a thing.
And you're talking different size launchers too. Worth pointing out, you can have different companies mass producing different vehicles for different size payloads. For example, Rocket Lab starting to pick up the pace again a little bit with Electron, which, if we ignore Neutron, Electron has got that small sat market, whereas Falcon 9's got that kind of mid-sat market, and Starship, as of now, is going to be competing with Vulcan and New Glenn and things for some of those larger payloads. So you've got that factor as well.
Speaking of that, isn't there an Electron launch tonight?
Yeah, 3 hours and 49 minutes from now.
Yeah, we got a Rocket Lab launch tonight.
That's going to be the fastest turnaround for them. It's going to be under 7 days because they had
that's cool.
The ready, aim, pre-fire launch, and then they're going to be doing pre-fire and ice. Those 2 missions are for NASA for the pre-fire sort of CubeSat. It's technically a constellation because it's more than one satellite. But yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. One of the things that worries me about New Glenn is that they say, "Oh, we're going to build like 3 or 4 boosters, and that's going to be our fleet. And we're just going to be reusing them 20 times." And it's like, yeah, but 20 times 4, that gets you 80 flights. Like, what are you going to do after that? Right? Are you going to be doing anything else? And so it's like, and having a really low rate of production. Even Falcon 9 boosters get produced like maybe 6 or 7 each year. Like, that is a much larger pace of production, I guess, than what Blue Origin has, publicly talked about in terms of New Glenn production.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
But the thing is with Blue is that sometimes it's hard. It's hard to they have a poker face when it comes to this stuff. Sometimes it's tough to kind of predict, to extrapolate what's going on, But anyway, yeah, great discussion, dudes. Sawyer, what do you think? I think we're done here, yeah?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. What else we got?
Because we got Bideford here gifted 5 Red Team memberships, so we want to thank Bideford, of course. They're always fantastic.
Margarita time. All right.
Brian, getting items from the store as well, saying buying patch 4 after I have the first 3. Let's Go from New Orleans. I'm guessing a Saints fan as well, based on the spelling of Let's Go. Matthew saying, hey, at NASASpaceflight, you rock. Well, thank you, Matthew. You rock too.
But without
Misty,
the K,
what?
you rock. Anyways, I just saw today
I
that
got
Rock
it.
from Star Launch flew
got
again
it.
today. So
Oh,
it just
man, that pun was tough. Tough rock, you might say.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. You guys finish this.
Misty,
I'm gonna
saying
need
you
tough
guys,
rock
saying
for
you
that
guys
bird.
bring my husband such joy. I love seeing the kid and him peek out. Thank you for all you do. Well, that's really sweet. I'm glad we can bring the kid out in him because, as you can see, it does the same to me, and also brings out the puns. Which, yeah, take those as you will. And then Michael Delaney with the support, I guess going back to Starship here, saying possibility of explosion for this test flight? Non-zero. There's always the possibility, but I don't know. Flight 2 and 3 looked pretty good, so fingers crossed that we don't see any unplanned explosion.
You have a 100% chance of steel tubes coming out of the sky, though.
Excitement guaranteed, as it says, right?
That is also
Yep,
true.
yep.
Yes.
Yep.
EJ?
Cool. All right. So with that, I think we might be ready to wrap it up, man. I think we're done here. I think we're done. So, Kevin, you're gonna have to. There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
There it is, baby. That's what I've been waiting for. All the members, launch
Look at all
directors, and
those
flight
names.
engineers. That's a lot of names.
You're going to read every
crazy.
single one of them, right?
Here, I'll do it in less than a second. Ah, there you go.
No,
See?
no, Kevin.
No.
I've already
No.
heard that.
No,
No.
no.
No,
Stop
no, no, no.
We will talk over it if we have to.
Yeah.
Oh man, you are making me so angry.
We love our launch directors and flight engineers, but not that.
Yeah.
You know, instead
No.
of playing
Stop
this,
it.
why don't you go to our amazing launch live stream and play another thing that is so amazing? I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer that we have for that launch live stream.
Yes, we have a launch live stream
But
teaser.
stop
It's phenomenal.
playing that thing. Yeah, there you go. And thanks to members, because there you go. That's the teaser, the trailer kind of thing. It's always cool to see this.
Oh, I don't hate this.
Oh, it's dramatic. It's great.
I don't. Oh no, this is killer. Look at this. I'm getting my popcorn. Oh, that's not.
Lift off of the Falcon 9.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's pretty. That was pretty good.
That was awesome.
The hype. I can listen
I
to that music.
Dude,
Oh, there you go.
The
did
gifts are
not
back.
pick that. The gifts are back. So,
Most importantly, though, don't forget set notification on that stream so that you know when we go live to cover Starship.
Yep. And okay,
Oh, come
Kevin,
on.
stop the music for a second. For real. I have to outro our guests here. So guys, I've been EJ. I've been doing a terrible job hosting this train wreck of a live stream. With me is Sawyer. Sawyer, you have anything to say to these fine folks here?
Yes, we've got 2 launches coming up very quickly as well. So besides sending a
stars.
reminder for Starship, don't forget, we have the Starlink 6-64 coming up tonight. And then on top of that, we also tomorrow have Starliner, which is a crew flight. There are people on it, so make sure you tune in.
Yeah, baby.
Check in around 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be live from the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you,
definitely
Sawyer.
set
And-
all your reminders and everything. I don't know. I have the camera on me, so I'm gonna just say, yeah. So set all of your reminders. Watch Twist as well, because we've featured here Starship, New Glenn, and Starliner, but there were other news. So if you want to watch all the news and all the launches and everything, we have a really great summary as always. Narrated by Alicia, written by me this week. It's been just
There you go.
me, but yeah, we're gonna have Starlink, Starliner. There's a Starship. There's more Starlinks afterward. There's a lot of things going on.
More Starlinks, you say?
Yes.
Wow.
There's
that
actually
never
2
happens.
Starlink launches.
Unheard of.
When we go live for Starship, there's a Starlink launch from the Cape, and then there's, in between that and the launch of the Starship, there's another Starlink, but from Vandenberg. It's crazy, y'all. It's like, whatever. And then like 2 days after Starship, there's another Starlink. It's all Starlinks everywhere. Anyways,
Always has.
Also, God is
Thanks
hovering
to
over my
Kevin.
head and it's creepy.
yeah.
And actually, Alex, thank you for popping in, dude. Thank you for spreading the knowledge and filling our ear holes with Starship and other spaceflight knowledge tonight.
All the
my friend.
stars.
Thank you yeah, all the stars, man, all the stars. And once again, I'm your host, EJ. Kevin, let's roll those GIFs so we can cringe at them. Can we do that?
There we go.
Yeah.
Cringe
jeez.
time.
We're
Oh, it's the
rotating.
cringe time.
And I have an
It's
EJ
the cringe
top
time.
now. Oh, there you go.
I don't like
EJ and
rotating. This is
EJ.
making me sick. Oh, God. Please stop rotating me. This is weird. This is weird. I'm uncomfortable.
I'm gonna need
Where's the next GIF?
some of that stuff for
Oh,
being
yeah.
parsing.
There's the happy.
Oh, I have
That's
Sawyer
better.
now.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Kevin, you really like this song, don't you?
he loves it.
I think I hate this song now.
Just because I was reminded, also follow the socials. If you don't, I don't know, if YouTube for whatever reason is mad at you and doesn't throw notifications, which we'll probably have problems with notifications, by the way, just saying. So do make
Thanks for
sure
reminding
to, check socials and everything, because that's also another way to get notified when we go live. They always make sure to notify people.
Someone in chat said get
There you go.
rotated.
Why not follow the socials, right? Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, my goodness.
If I don't see it, it's not illegal. Yeah, there you go.
You didn't see it. It didn't happen. Oh, boy.
No. How did this
Well-
make it in? This should not be in here.
Why?
Yeah, no.
Will you
Go
stop?
away, ship 26.
Stop trying
we
to
don't
make
want
26 happen. It's not going to happen. Stop it.
you. It's not happening.
Get some help. Get some help. Stop.
On that note,
What happened?
roll the outro.
Yeah, roll it. Come on.
And here we go.
It's just going to leave us here.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Say again, FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.